Koenigsegg, yep, he's got the advantage, but unironically, average ducks to the inside. What a move! But Koenigsegg accelerating back on the outside. And there goes Salty Bonkos to the inside. Bashing door panels, sparks flying, smoke spraying. The Butler is going to go wide. Salty Bonkos on the inside. They're a little bit off the pace, but now accelerating all 500 horsepower. Hello, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV. I'm Dustin Moore, bringing you Week 3 action of the Forza Spec Racing Series, Season number 32 in an R31. And yes, Season 32. I can't believe it myself. Every time we do one of these broadcasts, it just amazes me how many times these guys and gals have been going through the paces, if you will, out here on the virtual track in the world of Forza Motorsport. It is one of, without the shadow of a doubt, one of the longest running community-based series that you will find across Forza Motorsport, and I would even argue anywhere in the world of virtual auto sports, or well, virtual motorsports. You're tuned into virtual auto sports. But hey, here we are taking a look at the standings coming out of week number 2. And remember, this takes into account one of these first 2 weeks being a drop week, and then as we get through week number 3, then we'll have a total of 2 weeks worth of championship points. Then as we head into week number 4, we'll have 3 weeks. You get the point. There's one drop week put into effect so that if you have maybe a bad week, or perhaps you have an unfortunate disconnect, or if you're unable to participate, like the league organizer himself, Slow Motion Fire, is this week, then at least you know you could take that week in stride, subtract it from your championship point total, and still be in the running for the championship. So plenty of reasons to get involved here in things in the Forza Spec Racing League. The fact that you can miss one of these 5 weeks is one reason to be a part. We know that life happens, and you got to step away from the controller or the steering wheel for a bit, and understandably so, hop right back into the action. And that's what we'll be doing here tonight with LMP Chicago at the top of the leaderboard with 100 points. Those 100 points come off of last week, week number 2, going back-to-back in our races out there at the Indianapolis Grand Prix and the Lime Rock alternate version, picking up first place in both of those races, and yes, 50 points to any driver who comes in first places in any one of these races, the only exception being the 9th and final race where it's double the points. And so will anybody be able to take down Chicago at this point, at this juncture in the season? Yes, there's plenty of racing to go, but LMP Chicago off to a fantastic start, going 3 races in a row with a victory, with the number 1 spot, P1 position, when it's all said and done and the checkered flag has dropped on these races. That includes, as you can see there at the bottom, the Dubai Mountain Reverse Circuit, in addition to the 2 from last week. So LMP Chicago on something of a hot streak right now. And really, my question that I posed on Twitter was, will DOR Corvid, or Crimson as we know him here in the Twitch world, will Crimson be able to take him down, steal some of those points, and close that gap, 8-point delta between the two from first to second? Then it's AMS Udokan, our Season 31 champion, who happened to pick the Nissan Skyline GTS R R31 as the vehicle of choice here for Season 32, 90 points. So finding himself 10 points back from the leader, and that's after a shift in position there between Corvid and Udokan. Udokan was in second coming out of week number 1, has dropped back to Corvid just a bit. Carry out with the subscription for 2 months. Thank you. Thank you very much. That Twitch Prime subscription, much appreciated for 2 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I did mention it earlier during the countdown, but Axel Fox with the follow. Here's a couple of great names to rattle off at the top of the broadcast. Screaming Gibson Scotts. Screaming Gibson Scotts with the follow. And then Bats Are Cool, okay? I don't make these things up. Bats Are Cool, okay, also with the follow. About a week ago, actually, when we ended our broadcast, perhaps watching the rerun. Maybe that's where we picked that one up. But thanks for the follow. And anybody who enjoys the content here this evening, please click that follow button. Lets me know as the broadcaster that you're enjoying your time here. Back to the standings, the leaderboard, the also important leaderboard, because these are this is where you derive the storylines. This is where you start to learn where things are going for the rest of the season. As I mentioned, Udakan dropping back a position here on the leaderboard from week 1 to week 2. Fear the Fun actually jumps up 2 spots. You see him back there in 7th position, was on the middle column, at the very top of the middle column coming out of week number 1. So Fear the Fun doing an exceptional job early on in season 32. Just 19 points back behind Audrex. But you never know. You never know. Fear the Fun having a great showing here in Season 32. Then you find Yorkie Man, who is running for the first time in the Forza Spec Racing Series in Season 32. Right there in 8th position with 64 points, tied with Fear the Fun. And then you go over to the middle column there with CMD Slipstream, who drops back a spot off of 8 back to 9. Then you've got Chaos Fox, who is actually the hard charger as it relates to the leaderboard. Hard charger here with Chaos Fox, up from 7th. Well, actually, no, I take that back. He had a 7th place and a 10th place finish in week number 2, so 2 top 10 finishes, which moved him up quite a bit, 6 spots. 6 spots. He picked up 16th or 2 16th place finishes back there in week number 1. So to come away from week 1 with 2 16th place finishes and then with a 7th and a 10th there in week number 2, that's something special. Carry out saying that's the week 1 standings. No, these are week 2. These are week 2. For sure. For sure, I've double checked. I've quadruple checked. These are week 2 standings. These are the championship points, so carry out. So this is minus the drop week. I know I was just joshing you. Yeah, I'm sure you were there, carry out. He's like, no, I'm kidding. You're good. LSCM Chaos Fox, who I just mentioned again, the hard charger here on the leaderboards, up 6 positions. Funtang actually drops down 3 spots from the left side of the leaderboard in 8th position back to 11th there with 60 points. And then, he did not race in week number 2, so taking those 60 points from week number 1 is Funtang. Then it's Bornes Ghost, who drops down a spot to 12th from 11th. Then AMS Storm, who had a bad bit of luck there in week number 1 with a DNF in race 2, dropped down a spot, no-showed in week number 2. Hopefully we'll see AMS Storm out there on the grid here in week number 3. I'm looking through the lobby, and I'm not seeing Storm, unfortunately. Actually, no, Storm is here. So good on Storm for hanging tight and being a part of the action, regardless of the fact that no points last week and then a disconnect, which is only 3 points. 3 points if you can't finish the race. He had that there in week 1, race 2. Slow Motion Fire is down a spot from 13th to 14th, and as I mentioned, is going to be unable to participate here tonight. Has some things to take care of. Joe Beardy, first appearance was in week number 2 last week, and Joe Beardy there in 15th position. Joe Beardy actually first appeared in the Forza Spec Racing Series back in season 30 and was one of my drivers to look out for here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, and unfortunately that just hasn't transpired yet. But Joe Beardy, definitely a name that will be at least calling once here tonight at some point. He'll come up through the field and will be making a run for a top 10, I'm sure of it. Then DJ Hocus is up 4 positions. He would be much higher, or could have had a chance to be much higher had it not been for a week 2 DNF. So DJ Hocus actually picking up a large chunk of those points, 32 of the 39 if I'm not mistaken, to put him up into 16th position. So yeah, unfortunately, if it weren't for that disconnect, in week 2, then would be much, much better off. Let's see. Trigger Story, who you see in 17th position, is up 1 spot. IPR Wolf is down 4 positions. 4 positions there. He had a DNF in week 2, race number 2, out there at Lime Rock. Then Weiss Lancelot, also down 4 positions. Did not race in race 1 of week number 2. Did show up for the second race. And so hopefully here in week number 3 can start turning his luck around in terms of points. And then Modern Weapon is down 3 positions as well, currently sitting 20th. Of the 24 drivers who have registered points here in season number 31. Now, what racing do we have in store for us tonight? It's going to be a couple of great ones. Week number 3, race 5. This is the last race of the first half of the season. Monza full, 19 laps out at Monza, followed by Road America, the East Circuit, 25 laps around that track. So 2 real-world circuits here. We haven't been out to a fictional track since week 1, race 2 there at Dubai. And then just taking a sneak peek here at what's ahead. Suzuka East, Mount Panorama Bathurst, and then on March 3rd, that's when we'll wrap things up with a 55-lap race around Sonoma Raceway Short there in Sonoma, California. Yay. We've got Carry Out here in the chat, again with the Twitch Prime subscription 2 months in a row. Thank you, sir. And anybody else, if you're watching us here live on Twitch TV, whether it be now or a little bit later, by all means, drop me a line there in the Twitch chat, or the pit lane as we know it here on the channel. Be happy to engage with you, respond to any questions you may have, and most certainly have ourselves a nice little dialogue here. I know you all aren't behind the mic, and therefore it's kind of tends to be a little bit one-sided, but at least throw your comments, your questions, your thoughts, your predictions maybe of what the race is going to look like here, not only for race number 1 of the evening, but then our second race, which, again, Monza followed by Road America East Circuit. 2 great tracks, great field of competitors. So what will happen here? Place your bets, so to speak. We don't have any real betting, but you can certainly wager your reputation. Perhaps if you become the savant of the channel and you're predicting these races left and right, then maybe we will have to bring you in here on the mic and say, hey, how do you know these things so well? Reddit.com/r/FM4. That's the link that the old Nightbot dropped there into the Twitch chat for you. Follow that on over to the Reddit page for the Forza Spec Racing Series. Learn more about the series and the organization. Maybe get yourself registered. It's too late to be in the running for the championship, but still, you can get out here and race with these guys and gals. Get yourself familiar with the how things work, and then perhaps you can be a part of the action, the full season's worth of action in season 33, which again, what vehicle will it be? We'll have to find out as soon as we have a champion. We crown a champion here in season 32. They get to pick the vehicle in addition to having the bragging rights. Sorry if I'm stumbling over a few things here. We're coordinating the change of a lobby, it appears. So I'm going to go ahead and drop out of where I'm at right now and get into another lobby. And then we'll get out there and get ready for qualifying. 3 laps around Monza. Beautiful, beautiful circuit, which sits about 2,000 feet above sea level. And it will be the full track here tonight. So we will have Variante, the S's, corners 1 and 2, here early on out on the circuit. I do have a little bit of a special announcement to make. We'll go ahead and reserve that for the end of the broadcast. But I do want to alert you all that we do have something different to announce here tonight. Not just get through the broadcast, which is going to be amazing and exciting in its own right, but then also a little bit of a fun teaser for you there at the end. And taking a look back at the leaderboard for those of you who are just joining us now, and I'm looking through here, and it looks like we are getting close to almost a full lobby. And here's a familiar name to me, and probably for a lot of y'all. AX4X Big Ben is in the house. Yes, the organizer, the El Presidente of Tora, the Online Racing Association, hopping in here in the Forza Spec Racing League and getting things going tonight with the little Nissan GTSR. And what about this vehicle do you need to know? Well, it's B600 class in the world of Forza Motorsport, and that puts it, about midway on the spectrum in terms of performance. The performance index is a score that the Forza Motorsport, the folks behind Forza Motorsport, which is Turn 10 Studios, they've devised an algorithm, and it's based on the cars. As you can see right here, you see some of the stats: speed, handling, acceleration, and braking. I think there's probably a few other components that factor into the equation. And B600, yes, it puts it about mid-spectrum in terms of performance here in the virtual world of Forza Motorsport. 276 horsepower, 289 foot-pounds of torque, the vehicle weighing a somewhat monstrous 2,685 pounds. And this is the 87 Skyline GTSR R31 model. What's up there, Hoot Wheels? Food Tanks here, Carry Out, LSEM Chaos Fox. About time. It was a little slow going there in the pit lane. A little slow going, but glad to see you all start to say your highs, hellos, and your woohoos. Or as Hoot Wheels has got going on, he's got the rock out fist there. Hoot Wheels saying, "Aye, that's me." Very good, very good. What a week! I tell you, it's already off to a weird start for this week, and yeah, it's already hump day tomorrow, which thankfully, right? We're almost halfway through the week. But yeah, last night with the conclusion of the Daytona 500 after the rain delay, the postponement there on Sunday, pushing everything to Monday, and things ending in a bad way with Ryan Newman getting spun up into the wall, and then where it got real scary was landing on his rooftop and then getting at the same time, simultaneously, upon landing on the rooftop, getting plowed into by another vehicle, an unsuspecting driver who had nowhere to go but forward and right into the driver side window area of Ryan Newman's car. It was Denny Hamlin who came away as now the three-time champion, the three-time winner out there at the Daytona 500. But very scary situation, and fortunately Ryan Newman recovering. Last thing I saw was that he is actually speaking, and again, even more fortunate was that by the time he was departing the raceway there, off to the hospital, was already kind of considered serious but non-life-threatening injuries, which was the relief moment for a lot of folks. And yeah, it's a scary sport, and we're very, very lucky here in the virtual world of motorsport and all the competitors that exist in the esports world that these are the realities that you don't necessarily have to face when competing online. And that's where we're able to get that much more exciting competition, because you've got these folks who are doing this with no lives on the line. You could drive these cars around as recklessly as you want, although that'll quickly get you the boot from the league, but it doesn't have any implications in terms of driver safety, driver health, well-being, and ultimately people's lives. So the beauty that we have here in the virtual world is that these folks can learn to get quicker. They can learn tracks. They can learn how to race their opponents without the risk of life. And so we're very fortunate for that we have this sort of entertainment available to us. But of course, for our heroes and the folks that we root on in the real world, not so much the case. And so yesterday was a bit of a reminder. Of just how dangerous the sport is. And here we go, out here at Monza, and like I mentioned, this is the full circuit of Monza, which means that very first chicane, 1 and 2, exists up here. Now, because, and I was going to say with Forza race regulations on, but they are turned off right now. Once they are turned off for the race itself, we'll lose these barriers that you see. So drivers will have to be really careful about remembering the fact that they are going through that little chicane right there and not plow right through it, because then the organizers will have to do some work to validate everybody's final position. But 3 laps of qualifying here out at Monza. 3 laps of qualifying, 1 standing start, 2 flying laps. Try to set your best time. The fastest dirty lap will always be slower than the slowest clean lap, putting you at the back of the grid. Obviously, the goal is to be at the front of the grid, especially on a track like Monza where you have that little chicane right there. You don't have a chance to really get up to speed and use maybe a long sweeping corner to make some passes and quickly get up through the grid. Instead here, you hit kind of a stop, almost. I mean, you pretty much come to a stop while you navigate around all the other vehicles, and with that, you can quickly lose sight of the competition if you're finding yourself too far back in the grid coming out of qualifying. So really, no place as important for qualifying as it is here out at Monza, as we see AMS Huracan coming out of Variante Escali. Turns 8, 9, and 10. Now back up toward Parabolica for turn 11. This will be the final right-hander as you start the trek back toward the start-finish line. And then we'll start to see those times populate in the lower left-hand corner. LSEM Chaos Fox saying quality time. Woohoo! Big Ben, I've done 3 laps in this car. Let's see how this goes. BWM Frog with the hello there a little bit ago. Thank you. Thank you all very much for being here, and maybe if your Tuesday wasn't the best Tuesday, perhaps work gave you a little bit of grief, or maybe it's just a kind of a gloomy day like it is here in South Central Texas. It's a cloudy, gloomy, now cold day. It started off warm and humid. Now we've got a cold front that's come through, and it's cooling things down quite a bit. I was riding home with the windows down, and then probably about 3 miles out from home, I'm like, yeah, I got to roll this window up. It's getting a little too chilly. Krejcim right now with the top time with a 2:10.7. Again, you got to take that with a grain of salt. That is the standing start. And the other benefit of getting pole position or having the best qualifying time here in the Forza Spec Racing Series ever since last season, the pole sitter dictates when the race begins. So whereas in the multiplayer lobbies or in other races or other leagues that you might have run in, where in Forza you've got the countdown to the start of the race, well, you still have that here in FM4, but the pole sitter, well, everybody stays where they are at on the track for that countdown. Then the pole sitter, when he or she decides, will pull away from the line, and as soon as there's that slightest bit of movement, it's almost like timing the Christmas tree at a drag strip. As soon as you see the pole sitter move just one little iota, everybody else is free to go, and that's how we start things. The beauty of that, it gives us as the broadcast a chance to see the start because of Forza Motorsport's unorthodox, hey, kind of for the spectator, just jump right into the spectating mode with not much time to see how the start actually gets going. So we'll get to see that here in the way the format is set up here in FM4. And then also it just gives that extra little element, that the little extra bonus there for the pole sitter to know that that you've got a chance to kind of control things right off the start. Watching Presto is Besto here. Now everybody has set a, well, not everybody. Looks like almost half the field has set a qualifying time. AMS Huracan now with the top at a 2:05.184. Here comes Presto is Besto. Back behind CMD Slipstream and AMS Huracan. I'll make that LMP Chicago now our leader on the standings with a 2:04.962. Let's go up to, or over to, LMP Chicago, and we'll watch him make his final lap here at Monza before we pull everybody back into the lobby. They'll have a few minutes to kind of get everything set back up. Perhaps maybe they need to make a few last-minute adjustments. We'll ask some of our drivers to hop into the queue for interview section here of the Forza Spec Racing Discord channel, and I think that's another beautiful thing about this league is that one, it's Soul Motion Fire will tell you it's constructed to be like a beer league. Like you come out here, there's no real need to take it super serious. That's not to say that this is not competitive racing. Oh, I assure you it is, and you'll see that here tonight. But the guys and gals that partake in this league on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time, the idea is come out here, strut your stuff, but for the most part, improve your skill over time. All the more reason for you to get out here and be a part of the action. Solar Gambler, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for the follow. Rooting for you, Hoot, says Solar. So we talked about the Daytona 500 and the scary finish to that event last night, and then we had the news back on Sunday. I think it would have been Monday, early Monday, for those of you in the Australia, New Zealand territory. That I almost said Gran Turismo. That General Motors is pulling the plug on the Holden brand, and as of 1 January 2021, the Holden brand will be defunct. It'll be done. It'll be closed up. And I think the last report I saw, about 600 jobs as a result impacted, and I think General Motors going so far as to say that they are pulling out of the right-hand drive vehicle manufacturing process altogether, that they are just going to be a left-hand drive manufacturer with no presence in Australia. Not that they're streamlining the manufacturing process with one drive style, but then also saying, you know what, we're going to back out of Australia, which for the Holden brand itself is kind of devastating. 164 years in business, starting as a saddling company, then became an automotive company there in the, I believe, maybe the 40s, I think it was, when their first vehicle rolled off the production line. 164 years, almost 2 centuries of business coming to an end. Almost 2 centuries coming to an end here in 2021. All right, let's take a look at these best lap times. That's the column that you want to look out for. The position over to the left is irrelevant at this point. 205 Ott there for AMS Udakan, which is going to be just a little bit off the pace there from LMP Chicago's 204.962. Then you've got Yorkie Man again. And I'll go to the leaderboard here before we get ready for our race, but Yorkie Man currently running 8th overall on the leaderboard, just behind Fear the Fun. They're actually tied for points at 64. Yorkie Man with a 206.007. How about that time? Audrex with a 205.949. Born as Ghost. That exclamation mark in a triangle indicates that that lap is dirty. That means it is dirty. That's going to put Born as Ghost, along with Slipstream and Modern Weapon, toward the back of the grid for the start of this race. And it's Crateroom with a 205.747. Slipstream with that 206, unfortunately, at 206.337. Pretty quick pace, but going to be at the back of the pack. Modern Weapon with 212.720. Dirty. And then LMP Chicago, again, the pole time here out at Monza, looking to go back to back to back to back in season 32. Presto is Besto with a 209.355. DJ Hoke is 206.170. ANS Storm with a 205.049. Fear the Fun also with a dirty time, so Fear the Fun's got his work cut out for him. 206.448. Fawnin with a 208.110. AX4X Big Ben, again making a showing here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, and we'll have to see what's happening with the lobby, but with a 206.201 there for Big Ben. Chaos Fox with a 207.886. DOR Corvid with a 205.727. Oh, they're just loading the track with the Forza race regulation, so it's loading up the track without all the barriers. DOR Corvid, a 205, 727. IPR Wolf with a 210, 184. Hoot Wheels with a little bit of a cheering section there with Solar Gambler in the pit lane. A 207, 191. Joe Beardy with a 207, 362. And Grim also with a third lap at a 213, 925. Taking a look over at the driver's spotlight, we do have one driver who's currently in there, and it just so happens to be our pole sitter, LMP Chicago, picking up that 204, 962, trying to go 4 times in a row, P1 finish. It's gonna have to make it happen here at Monza. How do you feel about the car and the track?
I didn't expect to be on pole. I was 6/10 slower than my qualifying lap before I came into the practice lobby, so it was kind of surprising for me. But this track is going to be really good for cars behind you because the draft actually works with these cars.
Draft actually works. What doesn't work, if I'm not mistaken, is that there is a sport transmission in this car, the way that it's set up. So no adjustments to the gearing. Does that put the drivers at a disadvantage, or is the gearing pretty well set up for the long straights like that that we're going to see here at Monza?
You can adjust the gearing; it's just the final drive only.
That's right.
But either way, with my setup, I'm very confident with the gears, and it didn't take that much adjusting.
Talking with LMP Chicago here in the driver's spotlight, getting the pole position here out of qualifying, and our race leader on the leaderboard, as you can see it there on screen, 100 points total, picking up those 2 wins in week number 2. You got turn 1 and 2, Variante here, the chicane. So real quick acceleration and then real quick braking. What are you going to be looking for in your rearview mirror, if at all, or do you just look forward into the apex?
You just have to aim at the apex, hop the curbs a bit, and get the best run out of the corners.
Looking for that best run out of the corners, and then you follow that up with the wide sweeping right-hander. Another huge breaking point there with 4 and 5. That's Variante, the second chicane. We've heard about the grippiness of this vehicle, but what is the braking like? Does this thing come to a stop pretty nicely, or does it take a little work?
It does take a little work to be able to stop. Although the tires on the front are as thick as they are, it's kind of hard to stop the car while you're turning it into the corner.
And DOR Corvid's going to be the driver who's next, closest to you there on the leaderboard, 92 points behind. At this point in the season, this race here, race number 5, will be the last of the first half. Then you roll into the second half. Do you start to look out for drivers specifically, and even if going 4 times in a row in P1 with a P1 finish, even if that falls out of the picture, do you just kind of take a look at who is where and race against the drivers, or are you always racing for first place?
In my mindset, I'm always racing for the most amount of points that I can get, no matter who is on the track with me. So even if that's Storm showing up today, even though he hasn't showed up for the last few races, it could pose a threat on track, but it's something that I don't think I should worry about.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll see how it happens. And to Chicago's point here, you just never know what might happen with the points, and you never know when perhaps maybe your internet connection is not going to work to your favor. So you need to get all the points you can while you can, and then worry about the other drivers maybe as you get closer to that finale there in week number 4 and then 5. Going now over in LMP Chicago, thank you very much for your time. Going over now to DJ Hocus, who joins us here in the driver's spotlight. DJ Hocus, I'm trying to recall where you finished in qualifying, but overall, what are your thoughts?
8th. I'm happy with 8th. I got 8th.
All right, 8th position, not bad.
I love this track. It's nice, flat. It's got a lot of nice corners in it, and it's fast.
Fast track. And 21 drivers on the grid. 8th position will put you a little bit more than halfway up through the field, which means you've got a lot of folks behind you. I asked LMP Chicago what he's looking for in his rearview mirror as he starts to race, but how do you kind of prepare yourself for that first chicane, those first 2 corners, knowing that you've got a lot of vehicles on your tail?
There's a lot of good people in this, so I'm not really worried about the first corner. I think we'll make it through okay.
Okay. Talking with DJ Hocus here, you made a jump up 4 positions now to 16th, where we see you currently on the leaderboard. And as I was mentioning earlier on, you would be a much higher up if it weren't for a week 2 disconnect. So how do you put that behind you and just race with what events you have left?
You just have to look forward. You can't look back. If you look back and dwell on what's in the past, then you're not going to move forward. So you just got to put that behind me and move on.
Racing should always be a look forward type of thing. You're racing forward,
yes.
That's for sure. DJ Hokus, thanks for the words there in the driver spotlight, and best of luck to you here in the race at Monza.
Thank you.
All right, there you go, folks. And yes, we do have 21 drivers of the 23 that we can fit into these lobbies. So a great showing here in week number 3. No better way to get things going through the first half and into the second half of Season 31, but with a big field like we have here tonight. The R31, that's an 87 model Skyline that we're bringing out to the track. We've done it for 4 races now. Going to make it happen here with race number 5, then 6. Then we have 7 and 8 next Tuesday. Same time, same channel, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Virtual Autosports. And then we've got the 55-lap finale out there at Sonoma, the short circuit, in 2 weeks' time. Here's the countdown as Modern Weapon is squaring things away here this evening, making sure that everything runs just as smoothly as it would if Mr. Slow Motion Fire were here himself. There you see the grid. Taking into account those drivers who had the dirty laps, you find back there toward the back, Slipstream, Fear the Fun, Born as Ghost. Those drivers going to have to try to climb up through the field. As they should, all the drivers staying put on the line. LMP Chicago, as soon as he rolls off, that'll be the indication that things are going here. In race number 5, the Forza Spec Racing Series, kick the tires and light the fires. We're underway as they head up to turns 1 and 2. Veriante and the train of cars following their LMP Chicago. AMS Storm in second position with Udakan opposite of him. They're on the outside line. Then he'll be on the inside coming up to the next turn here in the chicane. And there they all go, the trail of cars. And nobody off into the kitty litter yet. Looking pretty dang clean back there toward the back of the pack. Back behind AMS Storm, it's going to be DOR Corbett, who's second overall on the leaderboard. He needs the points to catch up and keep pace with LMP Chicago. Cratrim is in 5th. Audrex in 6th position. Yorkie Man, they're in 7th. DJ Hokus in 8th. Big Ben showing up from the Online Racing Association here with the Forza Spec crew in 9th. Joe Beardy in 10th. Hot Wheels or Hoot Wheels in 11th position. Presto Esbesto in 12th. LSEM Chaos Fox in 13th. Modern Weapon, Born as Ghost, Slipstream, Fawn, and Wolf, Fun, Trigger Story, Grim. Those are, 13th through 21. They're the back half of the pack. Let's move back up. Well, let's hang out right here with AMS Storm, and let's go ahead and hop on board as they head down Curva del Seleglio. I know, that was probably all sorts of wrong, but you're going to get that from me from time to time. I'm doing my best as they go underneath the Audi bridge and now up to the infamous Veriante Escali. Couple of switchbacks there. You're carving through that section. You got a little bit of curbing. You see AMS Udakan getting up onto the curbing, 2 wheels off into the air, but able to bring it back down quite cleanly. And off they go down the straightaway here, up to Curva Parabolica, turn number 11, the final corner out here at Monza. A right-hander. It's a big-time right-hander. U-shaped horseshoe, paperclip, whatever you want to call it, and back toward the start-finish line for the end of lap number 1, beginning of lap 2. Let's go back to Yorkie Man here in 7th position. Funtang there in the pit lane saying kick the tires and light the fires. I think Funtang has given up. He was talking about his Grand Theft Auto roleplay stuff. He's obviously a little bit more fixated on that. Make sure you guys are following Funtang here on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Funtang. It's just that simple. And you'll get a variety of broadcasts from him from time to time. I love this car here by Yorkie, man. It's the Dunder Mifflin 1987 GTSR. As they come up here to Variante, the second chicane. Then it's Curva del Istmo, turns 6 and 7. And looking a little bit further back up there through P1, 2, and 3. It's going to be AMS Udakan, who's there in second. He's got his teammate AMS Storm there in third position. DOR Corvette still in fourth, trying to find a way around this AMS squad. It's Storm, unfortunately, who's already out of the running for the championship with a couple of DNFs, or at least one DNF. Back there in week number 1, race number 2, and actually it was a no-show in week 2. So AMS Storm is just going to have to try to be the spoiler here in season 32. And perhaps maybe help out his teammate there, AMS Udakan, or maybe even just antagonize him, as it seems he's doing there in the Sonic 87 Skyline. Solar Gambler saying, Yorkie, that's a fantastic livery. Michael Scott approved, and now here they come through Parabolico once again. Lap number 2 of 19, that 20th lap there in the upper left-hand corner. That'll be a cool-down lap, so pay no attention to that. Lap 19, that's the key. That's the one we're looking for. As LMP Chicago now starting to pull away, making that 4 races in a row with a P1 finish all the more likely. Don't want to call it now, because a lot of things could change. Lap traffic starts coming into play a little bit later on in this race. Although, look at that, everybody on the front straightaway here at Monza. Doing a pretty good job keeping pace. It's AMS Storm there in third, Corvette still in fourth, Cratrim in fifth, Audrex is sixth, Yorkie Man still in seventh, DJ Hocus in eighth, who had a great qualifying position, finished qualifying in eighth, and is currently running right there. Big Ben still in ninth, Hoot Wheels still in 10th. So not a lot of movement up here in the front, just a big trail of cars. And at some point, you're going to want to make a move, because they'll start to pull apart. It's kind of that accordion effect. And hopefully we'll see the back end of that accordion where it starts to compress and come back together toward the end of the race. That's where you have those really close finishes. And here comes AMS Storm now through turn 7. Up to the straightaway underneath that Ford Performance Bridge. And to a Scotty. Once again. As always, can't say it enough. Thank you all so much for flipping on the old tube. Well, probably not. You're probably watching for a computer or your mobile device. I'm Dustin Moore here with the Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 32 on Virtual Autosports. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, apart from those times where the league is in an off period, and then we broadcast something else, or maybe sometimes not even at all. But I do appreciate you choosing to tune in here this evening. We will be back at it for the next 2 weeks, so you can be assured of that, with week number 4 and then the finale, week number 5. We'll take a look at that schedule here in between races. Our race currently running out at Monza. That'll be the end of the first half of the season. Then we'll roll into the second half, as we are in a deep black screen situation there, and it would appear we have recovered, but we have lost one driver. Not entirely sure who that is. We'll see shortly there across the top. It's whoever's behind Grant. That's going to be IPR Wolf. IPR Wolf getting the disconnect here early on in race number 5. And Solar Gambler saying, oh no. Yeah, I was saying one of the luxuries of virtual racing is that you don't have the concern for life safety like you do in the real world. But the disadvantage of the virtual world is that you've got all these computers, all these racers with their own computers or consoles beaming information back one to the next from the server back to the other drivers. If you can imagine how quickly this stuff happens, it's almost unfathomable that the inputs of these drivers are being translated to all these other drivers' computers or consoles instantaneously. Because how else would we be able to race in the virtual world without the information traveling that quickly? And we've had drivers like LSCM the Butler. We've got a lot of folks in Western Europe, and then, of course, a contingent here in the States. All of that information happening not even in a blink of an eye, not even at the snap of your fingers, but so quickly that you can't even comprehend it, really. The dangers of internet play, says Solar Gambler. Yeah, there's other dangers with internet play, so to speak, but really, yeah, for the gaming world, having that always-on, trustworthy connection. And oh, we've got some action here up toward the front with AMS Unicon now dropping back a little bit. It looks like Storm maybe holding him up just ever so slightly, and now that's going to allow Corvid to go around on the outside. Well done by Corvid. Let's go up to Corvid here in third, who is now trying to keep pace with AMS Storm and LMP Chicago. Don't want to lose too much of sight of him, and here comes Huracan. Huracan was roaring towards the back end of Corvid's car. They're just able to get the brakes going. I didn't see any tire smoke, so either AMS Storm and Corvid were just slow there into 4 and 5 of Variante, the second chicane, or Huracan just timed his braking point perfectly and was able to come up right onto the back bumper. Now about a car and a half length of separation as they come out of turn 7 down the back straightaway. We're going to keep our camera here for a little bit because there is some action. We'll try to get back to everybody else. We do love to get a little attention to everybody who's participating. Obviously, we'd like to focus for the purposes of the broadcast on where the points are up for grabs and the championship is at stake. So where we can, we will dip back. But for right now, we're going to hang tight as Corvid now coming to the inside here through Parabolica. Going to try to make a run on IMS Storm. Not going to happen there as they go back down the back straightaway. LMP Chicago telling us in the driver's spotlight, this is one of the vehicles here in Forza Motorsport 7 where the slipstream actually works as advertised. And with that, Corvid might be able to make a run here at AMS Storm as they come up to Variante 1 and 2. Although it would be advised to kind of hang tight and see how Storm takes the corners versus going in there too wide. And LMP Chicago coming off into the kitty litter, puts the tires into a bit of a spin and sends the back end sliding a little bit, and that's going to allow AMS Storm now to make a run. Corvid's going to hang tight here for a little bit and just see how things happen or shape up here in 1 and 2. And now here comes AMS Storm to the outside. Looks like a little bit of clipping there as we take a look at it. Chicago to the inside. AMS Storm now to the inside of the second port of Variante 4 and 5. And perhaps Storm a couple extra tires off the tarmac there inside the white line. And as a result, I think he wisely decided to drop back there behind LMP Chicago's car now as they head up to turn 7, and Storm's going to push the issue once again. A little bit of bumping. That's just racing, folks. And look at that field close in. LMP Chicago, AMS Unicon now up to second. Storm in third. Corvid's drop back now to fourth, and Cratrim they're in fifth position. My, oh my, the action as they now go too wide into Variante Ascari. It's going to be AMS Unicon who's going to get around LMP Chicago. And we have a new leader contesting and trying to end the streak here. Is AMS Unicon, our season 31 champion, the driver who picked this 87 Skyline GTSR for season 32. AMS Storm, they're in third as we kind of ride on the front bumper of Corvid's car. Into Parabolica they go. Solar Gambler, and if Solar Gambler is telling us there in the pit lane that that's an aggressive move, you know it's an aggressive move because it got the Gambler in his name. Here comes AMS Storm now. He's got Chicago between he and his teammate, AMS Udakan. No teams here, though, in the Forza Spec Racing Series. And there goes LMP Chicago, darting his vehicle over, trying to grab a little bit of that slipstream and not trying to lose pace there to Udakan. Now here they go through turn number 2, back up to Curva Piaciano. Oh, I butchered that one. Let's just go with Curva Grande. I think that's the one I can more easily pronounce. As we've got a great grouping of cars here, P1 all the way back to P6. Let's run through that field. It's AMS Storm in 3rd, Dior Corvin in 4th, Cratrium in 5th, Audrex there in the running or in the mix in 6th. Then you have to jump back a little bit further. It's going to be 7th of Yorkie Man, who's all on his lonesome right now. AX4X Big Ben in 8th position, DJ Hocus in 9th, Hoot Wheels in 10th, Slipstream is in 11th, and Slipstream climbing up through the field because he was at the back of the pack with a dirty lap during qualifying. Born as Ghost in 12th, he too had a dirty lap. So those drivers who had an aw shucks moment during qualifying doing a great job finding themselves back up through the field. LSEM Chaos Fox, they're in 13th position. Fear the Fun in 14th. Joe Beardy in 15th. Presto's Besto and Modern Weapon are 16th and 17th respectively. Then it's Fawnin, Grim, and Trigger Story, 18, 19, 20. Here they go through Curve Variante Escade, and it's Udakan with Chicago all over the back bumper. Let's go up to Chicago and ride on board. See what he's going to do here coming up to Parabolica. Solar saying, that's all right. No Italians are watching. Probably. Yeah. Well, with my luck, there's one. And they're just saying, oh, the shame right now. And here comes LMP Chicago to the inside. He's got to run on Udakan. Here they come. Down the stretch with AMS on the outside coming up to turn number 1. What's going to happen here? And there's AMS Storm waiting in the balance back behind, and then Corvid with Audrex back there as well. Let's see. Side by side. What precision, respecting each other's lanes. Chicago running out onto the curbs. That's where he would be even if it weren't for Udakan on his outside line. Able to pick up as much driving area as possible, keeping that momentum. And there goes Chicago with 2 wheels onto the inside as they go through Curva Grande. And now Chicago, by a nose, at least for now, has the lead. Pardon me with the menu. And Udakan able to hold on to it. Staving Chicago, at least for now, and it looks like AMS Storm, well, he's got Corbin now to the inside of him. Corbin making a shot for 3rd. And no go for Corbin right now. He still has AMS Storm out in front of him. Let's go back to Corvid. Fotang saying, looking like some tasty racing action for dinner. You're well past dinner time where you live there, buddy. But yes, you're right. Here on a Tuesday evening, maybe a Wednesday morning for some of you. Some fantastic racing action. We would have expected no less here tonight. And now Chicago to the outside of Udakan coming up to Parabolica. He attempted the low line last time through. Now he's going to bring it back to the inside. But Udakan, with just too much momentum, has the advantage. And let's see if LMP Chicago is going to go ahead and rope it back in and behind Udakan. No, he's not. He's going to stay side by side as they come up. Nope, there he goes. He brings it back to the back bumper, and here we go into turn 1 and 2 once again. Lap number 9 of 19. You can see their opposite side of the track, a couple of cars off the pace. That will start to factor in here as we close in on the back half of this race out at Monza, the full circuit. Oh no, and we've got the black screen of death once again. which sadly means we've probably lost another driver out there. It's going to be AMS Storm. No! AMS Storm, who had a disconnect back in week number 2, race number 2, with a second. And so with that, we now just have 5 drivers in this grouping. It's AMS Unicon, LMP Chicago, DOR Corvette, Cratrium in the 4th position, and Audrax Beck there in 6th. Check that, 5th. Yorkie Man in 6th. Wow. 2 disconnects there in a row for Storm. Yeah, you're telling me there are solar, more so Storm. That's got to be frustrating to no end. And the race will continue on. Only in the finale is there a rule in place here in the Forza Spec Racing Series where so far into that finale will they go into a restart mode if somebody falls out. That finale being a double the points race. And there goes Cratrium. He's going to go ahead and kick up the dust a little bit. Audrex, Yorkie Man in 6th. Big Ben now up to 7th position from 9th, I think, is where we last saw him. Slipstream in 8th. Hoot Wheels in 9th. DJ Hocus in 10th. Born as Ghost is 11th. Fear the Fun in 12th position. Let's go to Chaos Fox, who's running in 13th. We'll take a look back there real quick. And behind Chaos Fox, it's going to be Joe Beardy, Presto Esbesto, Modern Weapon, Fawnin, Trigger Story, and Grim, 19 of the 21 who started tonight's race. We do have one more coming at you here at the conclusion of this one. As we return to DOR Corvette. PWM Frog saying, yeah, 10 more laps of this action. Make that about 9.5 at this point. Here they go, and Chicago's not waiting to make a move at the end of this one. Chicago feels threatened, or at least I'm gonna propose it that way. I'm gonna set up the drama that Chicago is threatened here, trying to go 4 races in a row with a P1 finish. Here in season 31, LMP Chicago showing up, I think, 2 seasons ago, and looking to get his first crown in the Forza Spec Racing Series. And now here they go once again, back up toward the start-finish line. Make it 9 laps to go out here at Monza. Go back on board here with LMP Chicago as they head toward number 2, Variante numero 2. Variante de Rogia. Who knows? Well, I know people know. I just don't know. I think that's on point, though. Using a little bit of my Spanish to navigate the Italian language here. It's either helping me or hindering me. And here comes Chicago now up to 7 there with Unicon. About a 2-car length separation here. There is a little kink here, and they do name the kink, but it is not a numbered corner. Which, depending on racetrack, from racetrack to racetrack, sometimes the kinks are numbered, other times they're not. It's really all up to the track creator. As we go through Scotty. And LP Chicago maybe staying put here for a little bit. as I look back, got to go back to Slipstream to find a really close battle. He and Hoot Wheels, with the orange number board there on that skyline. First time running here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, but definitely not a newcomer to the Forza franchise. Doing quite well here in 8th position, but Slipstream is knocking. Slipstream, though, going to run a little bit wide there through Parabolica. We'll go back to that battle here in a little bit. Let's roll on up to Chicago. Like I teased here at the beginning of the broadcast, a little bit of a special announcement to be had here after things are all said and done in Week 3 action of the Forza Spec Racing Series, so stay tuned. Like I said, it's about a 2-hour. We've expanded. We've gone from about an hour and 30 to an hour and 45 now to a sound 2 hours worth of broadcast here on Tuesday nights to get through both the races, and then we've got a whole host of drivers who enjoy coming into the driver's spotlight and telling their experiences out there on the track. So for those of you who want a little bit more than just the racing, maybe you want to understand the position of the drivers, get their thoughts, their takes. Sometimes we get some hot takes, or more often than not we don't, but every once in a while we get some interesting nuggets from the drivers, and if that's your thing, then all the more reason to hang out with us all the way to the end of the broadcast. And for any of you that may have to drop out from time to time, or maybe you're just joining us and you missed the action a little bit earlier on, you can watch back the rerun, which will happen live immediately following the broadcast. And then, of course, all of Season 32, or Season 32, yeah, Season 32. I might have said Season 31 a little bit earlier, but all of Season 32 in its entirety available in the past broadcast section of twitch.tv/virtual. All right, they are closing in on some lap traffic here, but let's return to Slipstream here in 9th position, and actually where he and Hoot Wheels were kind of all by themselves, they now have DJ Hocus and Borna's Ghost getting all so closer to 8th and 9th, and we'll see if maybe here in a lap or two it's not a four-way battle for 8th. I love Hoot Wheels and Slipstream's color schemes here. Very time period appropriate. Kind of some vibrant colors with an abundance of orange. As it's the first of two Variantes there, and now into Curva Grande. Here on lap number 13 of 19. Back up to Chicago because they've got lap traffic out, and actually that's going to be, I think, Grim, who goes ahead and just pulls it off into the kitty litter. It is indeed Grim, deciding he wants no part of holding these drivers up. So he's going to go over there and make a few sandcastles before returning to the track. And now to a Scotty here. Let's see if Chicago, oh, look at that, getting that front left wheel well up into the air. It was almost a three-wheel stance, it looked like. Solar Gambler saying, I've not watched any Forza as far as the game goes, just a lot of Formula One and NASCAR, but that helicopter noise is a fantastic touch. Yeah, and really, Forza used to have some really exciting helicopter camera angles. What immediately comes to mind was the Nürburgring GP circuit when it debuted back in Forza Motorsport 3. There's this the backstretch. There's this view from the camera of the helicopter, which was fully intended to be a helicopter view too, because you really get the sound of the helicopter and kind of the swaying of the camera as it tries to keep pace with the action. I really, really hope, for the sake of broadcast, not only here on Virtual Auto Sports, but in the Forza Racing Championship and across the Forza community where these events are broadcast live, that we get some better camera angles. I was watching the Gran Turismo Sport World Championship over the weekend, both the Manufacturer Series and the what is it called, the Team Series or something like that. And man, the camera angles in GT Sport are just on point, and they vary. Like there's at least 2 or 3 different looks in each corner and on each straightaway, which really helps to mix it up. We need that. We need that here in Forza Motorsport. We need to have a very dynamic broadcast experience, and again, not just selfishly for the community run events, but also for the Forza Racing Championship. The engagement and the amount of viewership, I think, would go up tremendously with some much better perspectives of the racing action. Let's go back to Big Ben, who's here in 7th position, trying to make a run at it for 6th. He's got Yorkie Man, who, again, is having a phenomenal showing here in Season 32. Yorkie Man was dealing with Born as Ghost a little bit ago, and now Born as Ghost has fallen back to 11th, unfortunately, and now they come up to Parabolica here on lap number 14. The trigger there for lap 15 as LMP Chicago, or excuse me, AMS Udakan goes across the line. Let's go back up to Chicago. I know we keep throwing our camera back toward the back and then back up toward the front, but a lot of reasons to keep our camera up here as much as possible. AMS Udakan, who is currently 3rd overall on the leaderboard. AMS Udakan, coming out of week number 1, was 2nd on the leaderboard, dropped back 1 spot. That allowed Dior Corbin to move up a spot, and as things stand right now in the race, it is Chicago 2nd overall in the race, 1st overall on the leaderboard, trailing Udakan, who's 3rd on the leaderboard, and ahead of Dior Corbin, who is 2nd on the leaderboard. So we'll take a look at that again as we go into intermission here between our first and second race of the evening, so that you guys can get the picture of what it is I'm saying. And the difference here in points coming out of week 3 can be very, very important, can be very telling about how this season is going to wrap up. Granted, anything could change, even though we have the action so close like we do right now. With that drop week rule into effect, you just never know. You got to get all the points you possibly can, but you have to be mindful of, all right, if this happens to be the bad week for Chicago, then I might still be behind, even if I beat him in this race. And now here we go. Chicago is gunning for Udakan. They're going to go side by side down the back straightaway underneath that Xbox One bridge. And look at that. It can't get any closer. Into Parabolica. Udakan looks to be a little bit later on the braking. Bandry, thank you for the follow. Bandry saying, go Hoot. Look at that. I love it. You guys just show up somehow. I don't know how, but you guys show up and get a little cheering section going for some of these drivers. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And now here we go into Variante, the first chicane here at Monza for the 16th time. 4 laps to go. What is going to happen? Running through the field, it is Chicago here in 2nd, back behind Udakan, then Corbin, Cratrium, Audrex. Then it's Big Ben in 6th now, getting around Yorkie Man. Hoot Wheels in 8th, Slipstream in 9th, DJ Hocus rounds out the top 10. Then, from 11th on back to 21st, it's Born as Ghost, Fear the Fun, Chaos Fox, Presto's Besto, Joe Beardy, Modern Weapon, Fawnin, Trigger Story, and Grim. And then you have to look to AMS Storm, and then, what's the other one that fell out? IPR Wolf. The 2 DNFs, they'll pick up 3 points each for their participation in this race. And a terrible, terrible time for a disconnect there for AMS Storm, who was in the thick of it here in the top 6, which is now I was going to say 5 cars all within an arm's length of each other, but yes, we are starting to see the gap of separation between all 4 of the cars, or all 5 of the cars, back there all the way to Audrex, who is now running in uber clean air since Craytrim has departed him. And so let's go back to Yorkie Man, who again has given up 6th position now to AX4X Big Ben, the founder, organizer, head honcho. I know I keep changing the titles. Big Ben there over at the Online Racing Association, deciding to peer in on things here in the Forza Spec Racing Series and have a go at it in the 87 Nissan Skyline, telling us that he only had a few either laps or races worth of practice in this car. And there goes Yorkie Man on the right rear quarter panel of AX4X Big Ben's car, putting that car into a little bit of a slide, but as our drivers have been telling us all season, very grippy vehicle. So even if you get a bit sideways, it usually does not last long. You got 275 40s on 16-inch rims, front and back. 275 40s up front, and then 315 35s on the back. And we've got sport tire compounds wrapped around those 16-inch rims. LMP Chicago able to close that gap on Udacan once again as they go into turn 6 of Curve del Lesmo, turn 7. What's up there, Weiss Lancelot? We don't have Weiss Lancelot out there on the track right now. Maybe he'll show up in race number 2 of the evening, much like he did there in week number 2. Good to see you tuned in at least. Daytona the Fox saying, what's the deal with airline food? Who knows? Who knows? The whole reclining controversy that has cropped back up. It's nothing new. If you've traveled on an airplane at least once, and you know anybody else who has at least traveled on an airplane once, you know that the reclining controversy is not a new one, but has just manifested itself in new ways. Thanks to social media. But yeah, what is up with airline food? What's that all about? Here comes Udacan and Chicago across the line for the start of lap number 18. The next time by, they will get the white flag, indicating 1 lap to go in this 19-lap race. So LMP Chicago there in 2nd, DOR Corbett in 3rd, Craytrim in 4th, Audrex, Big Ben, Yorkie Man, Hoot Wheels. Let's go to Slipstream as Hoot Wheels holding off Slipstream. We've seen this battle go on for laps here. This is a never-ending one, it seems, and for Hoot Wheels, who's trying to grab P8 in this race, it's hotly contested here, and I don't think he's going to lose Slipstream anytime soon. He still has Borna's Ghost back there, too, and you never know what might happen. A little bit of a flub here, 8th or 9th, and we could, like I mentioned a couple laps ago, we could very well have a 3- or 4-way battle for 8th. But right now, Hoot Wheels holding on to it there with the Canadian flag next to his gamer tag. Back up to Chicago. Close that door, says Solar Gambler. Don't let him in. Be a little defensive. How about this analogy? LMP Chicago, it's like one of those wind-up cars where you pull the string or you pull the car backward and the friction of the gearing sets it up to propel it forward. Well, LMP Chicago, perhaps that little bit of a gap that he had, the 3 or 4 car length difference about a lap ago, maybe that was him winding that 87 Nissan Skyline back up, and now here he goes, propelling it forward. The white flag flies out here at Monza, race number 5 of season 32. Who is going to come away with the win in this one? Smacks the door with the rubber mallet, says Weissland. So yeah, when in doubt, just hit it. Here comes Chicago to the outside through 1, back onto the rear bumper in 2, up to Curva Grande, turn number 3. Both headlamps still working, so despite the scuff marks all about that car, not enough damage to knock out the headlamps, and that's a good sign too, because you get close to aero damage territory if you get a little bit more aggressive. And now here comes Udakan, 2 wheels up into the air out of 4 into 5. Chicago right there in the rear view mirror, past the McGuire signage into turn number 6. Black Knight 295 racing with the Dragon. I like it. That's one way to say hello. And you see back there in 3rd position, that's Dior Corbin. He wishes he was up here contesting for 2nd, maybe even 1st. Might have to be content with a 3rd place finish. That won't help him on the leaderboard, at least on initial looks. Again, the drop week rule in effect could change things. So Motion Fire or Modern Weapon will update the points, the championship points, and the total points at the conclusion of this race. And here we go into the final corner. Parabolica, they're side by side. LMP Chicago and Udakan, you see there from the timing. It keeps swapping back from Burrs to 2nd between the drivers as they are neck and neck. Now they're bumper to bumper. LMP Chicago's going to come on to the inside, and down the stretch they come. It looks like Udakan with a little bit of a defensive maneuver. The block, here comes Chicago to the outside, up to the Recaro start-finish line, and it is AMS Udakan who noses him out across the checkered start-finish line and grabs P1, ending the streak to Chicago's 3 P1 finish streak here in season 32. Dior Corbin across the line, Cratrim in 4th, Audrex in 5th. Let's go to Yorkie Man here in 7th position behind Big Ben. Can he make a move? Not going to do it. Big Ben in 6th. Yorkie Man in 7th. 8th goes to Hoot Wheels if he can hold off Slipstream, and he does. Slipstream in 9th. Then it's going to be Born as Ghost in 10th. DJ Hocus in 11th. Fear the Fun in 12th. Chaos Fox in 13th position. And oh no, we got a loading screen. Did we lose somebody at the end of the race? Wow. And unfortunately, I don't think I got the... I did not. Shame on me. I didn't capture the end there. The almost photo finish, but I am pretty sure Udakan had him by a nose and maybe even the front of the front wheels as they cross the line. So Udakan will grab the win here at Monza, which sets us up for an exciting start to the second half here. Season 32 in the Forza Spec Racing Series. I'm Dustin Moore, and we're going to take a little bit of a break here, folks, while I go ahead and tally up who finished where, because with this cooldown lap, unfortunately, when they go back to the lobby, we won't have the standings, so I'm going to have to make sure I have a record of them. In the meantime, please hang tight through 3 minutes of ads. I assure you, you will not miss any action whatsoever. Then we'll come back, talk to some of our drivers here in the driver spotlight, and get it ready for race number 2 of the evening, race number 6 here in the season out at Road America East Route. We'll be right back. Twitch TV, Virtual Autosports, and the Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 32. For those of you not getting ads at this point, thanks for hanging tight here on the broadcast as we get ready to wrap things up in the first race of the evening and prepare ourselves for the second half, not only of tonight's action, but of the season. Here's how things looked coming into week number 3. Again, with LMP Chicago at the top of the leaderboard. AMS Udacan, though, getting the win out here at Monza. Third overall on the leaderboard entering tonight's action. DOR Corvid was second with 92 points. Again, we'll see how this dynamic changes things following this race. DOR Corvid getting third place in the race out at Monza. Then it was Mesosphere, who unfortunately hasn't been here for week 2 or 3, and so he'll fall back in the standings here entering week number 4. Then Cratrium, Audrex, Fear the Fun, Yorkie Man, and you see everybody else there in the middle column. Again, this is how things were entering week number 3. All the information, including a look at the points, over there at reddit.com/r/FM4. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and for those of you who received ads, I appreciate you going through those and bearing with me. What it allows us to do is prevent those viewers who are joining us a little bit later on in the broadcast. They get a chance to avoid the pre-roll ads and get right into the action so that they don't miss anything as they're tuning in. So I assure you, you missed nothing. We've got AMS Udacan, who's taken the victory lap around Monza, heading into Ascari there with a very unique line. I assure you that's not what it looked like going into the race or coming through the race. And he'll go ahead and finish things out. They'll go back to the lobby, and we'll get ready for another one out at Road America, the East route, the East Circuit, up there in Wisconsin. But while we watch Udacan make his run around the track, let's go ahead and go over to the driver's spotlight, and somebody I'm going to bring in here who's probably not too thrilled with how things ended there, or I don't know, maybe they're going to go ahead and give you the shadow of a doubt in terms of where you finished. Fear the Fun. Where did that disconnect come from? Was it before or after the line?
It was exactly as I crossed the line.
Wow.
It happened last week too. Race 1, I disconnected. My Xbox has been weird, so I'm just waiting to get Ethernet splitter so I can just hardwire it in.
Gotcha. Well, we'll see what the officiating crew gives you in terms of a finish out there. That being said, a pretty good race, and you were one of those drivers, if I remember correctly, who had to come up through the back of the pack after qualifying.
I didn't do that. I almost wrecked everybody in turn 2 on lap 1, and then turn 3 I almost did it again. So I just kind of laid back, and by that time everybody had driven off.
And what was it about this race? You say you almost wrecked a few people. Was it the track? Was the car doing something you haven't seen yet through the first 2 weeks? What was it?
I was just late on my braking points. They're both like the 290-degree corners on this track, and I just hit my braking point a little bit late and went a little deep. And I hit Modern the first time, and then I hit Flip the second time. But I didn't do any damage to them because they both finished ahead of me.
A little disappointing for you. We were talking during the beginning of tonight's broadcast that you climbed up 2 positions from week 1 because of 2 top 10s there in week number 2. And as I've asked a couple of drivers, okay, you had a bad race here in race number 5 of the season, but you can't let that discourage you, right? Especially when you're sitting 7th overall on the leaderboard.
Hey, I'm more than happy with my finish because I can actually do this week. From the end of last season, the final race, the Enduro, up until last week, I didn't have contacts for either eyes, and I could barely see what I was doing.
Yeah,
so,
let's just go ahead and take a moment to pause and think about that. You were able to perform the way that you did last week despite those conditions.
I was legitimately legally blind for the past 5 weeks up until Wednesday of last week. So the Enduro to last week, I couldn't see anything more than a few inches in front of my face. And the fact that I did any decent without being able to see I'm okay with it.
Never met Fear the Fun in person, so I can't visualize you doing this, but I visualize somebody nose to screen racing because of the fact that your vision is out, and almost begs the question now: do you go ahead and rip those contacts out and just try racing blind again?
I mean, it might work. But yeah, I've been sitting about maybe a foot, 2 feet away from a 40-inch screen TV, so I can see what I'm doing.
All right, so how do you turn it around out here at Road America?
I just got to have better qualifying. I dirtied all of my laps in qualifying, and I got to get ahead of the people I know I'm faster than, but not ahead of the people who are faster than me.
Yeah.
I don't want to wreck anybody, and I don't want anybody to wreck me. And being in the back and knowing that I'm faster than some people, but not all people, I don't want to wreck anybody, but I kind of want to get to the front as fast as possible or to my position where I slot in the best.
Fear the Fun, folks. Picking up either some sort of finish or a DNF there in race number 5 out at Monza. Better luck to you here in qualifying out at Road America.
I'm going to say I got 12th place. And I don't care if anybody disagrees. I got 12th place.
Well, like I said, we'll see where the officiating crew goes ahead and slots them in there in the final standings. I hate to be the organizer in that position to go ahead and make that call. Let's go ahead and now bring in LMP Chicago. Wow, Chicago, that was quite a run that you made there on Uticon at the end, trying to make it happen there on the last, not only just the last lap, but the last couple hundred feet. Still, second place finish. It ends your streak there. Could have gone 4 straight, but either way, a good run.
Yeah, it was my first race using sim steering, so I had to get used to that, and I didn't want to push it and possibly lose more places than gain.
What factors in to make a decision like that where you change the steering configuration from normal to sim?
Oh, you just have to be able to not push as much as you would and not get as much oversteer, because once you get oversteer, you either have to slam on the brakes to not lose the car, or you just try correct it and possibly just go spinning out.
But what's the rationale behind switching? Are there some tracks like Monza, where we just were there, that are more favorable to the sim style?
Tracks with sharper corners that have good places to get launches off of kind of benefit from sim steering.
Okay. Well, there you go. A little bit of insider knowledge there from LMP Chicago, finishing second behind AMS Uticon. I'm guessing you're anticipating another great battle out here at Road America.
Yeah, because the draft is also going to be effective here with how the draft showed up at Monza. It looked very strong.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes, but we've got qualifying first. We'll see you out there for qualifying, Chicago.
All right.
All right, we've got a couple other drivers in here. Let's see, Dior Corvid, who finished third, with a little crying emoji there in the pit lane saying, can I win this time? Wanting to pick up a win and perhaps have a run at the championship here toward the end of the season. But, man, you got some stiff competition, Uticon and Chicago.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly, and Storm for that matter, it's unfortunate his internet hasn't been keeping up too well lately.
Yeah.
Additionally, I'm still fighting some scar tissue forming on my hand that's making my fingers a little bit stiff. So it's been fun. That was a great first race this week. But yeah, I think podium's about the best I can hope for. Anything more is just a bonus.
Yeah, my apologies. I totally diminished the introduction here. It's Dior Corvid, American hero, breaking up a dogfight. Unfortunately, having to deal with a little bit of what's not so funny, the scar tissue there on the hand, dealing with the controller and all that, trying to make things work when maybe you're not at your best. That being said, yeah, you threw Storm in the mix there as somebody who, unfortunately, with the disconnect, fell out of the race. I asked Chicago, but I'm guessing you're thinking that this is going to be another good one. You had even Audrex there behind you, and Cratrium, and then Hoot Wheels and Yorkie Man. So a lot of great racers here in week number 3, and it's going to make things difficult through the back half of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And the track selection this week really, really tends towards close racing, just with the long straights and the heavy braking zones. So this one might get a bit hectic in turn 1 as we get towards the end here. So that's kind of what I'm worried about, just not getting caught up in crashes there.
And for those not familiar, the way that you get a schedule of tracks here in the Forza Spec Racing Series is that folks who guess correctly on some spy shots for the car of the season get to pick a track. Corbin, did you have a pick here in Season 32?
Yeah, I picked the classic layout at Indianapolis.
Okay, there you go. So Corvid with the pick there in week number 2. Corvid, best of luck to you. It's going to be another fight there in race number 6.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's go ahead now. And I was talking about it earlier, AX4X Big Ben coming over from the Online Racing Association. What encouraged you to show up here in the Forza Spec Racing Series on a Tuesday night?
Well, this people might not know this, but I enjoy racing. So I always am looking for interesting places to go have fun with cars.
Have fun with cars, and you telling us there in the pit lane a little bit earlier in the broadcast that you don't have much practice time with this vehicle, especially in its configuration here for the Forza Spec Racing Series B600 class. What have you picked up from the car, and what are you gonna carry forward into the race here at Road America?
So all I've really picked up is that it has a fair amount of grip. There is a limit to that grip. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that is. I literally downloaded a tune like 5 minutes before qualifying for Monza started, so I'm still trying to figure out the car in general. I got down to a 205 during the race, though, so I should be decent at this track, considering it's, basically an oval.
Yeah, it is, and we'll take a look at that track as we get ready for the qualifying session out here at Road America, the East Circuit. And Big Ben, let's not spoil it for anybody who doesn't know yet. I invite you to come back here toward the end of the broadcast after our race here at Road America. But the Online Racing Association, if you want to just throw it out there, where can folks get more information if maybe they can't participate on Tuesday nights here with the FM4 crew? Where can they get info on Tora?
Best place to go for info about Tora is probably our Twitter, which is at @thereal_Tora, or racetora.com, and go to the forums.
All right, so either I'll talk to you at the end of this broadcast or I'll make the special announcement myself. Either way, but best of luck to you here at Road America.
Yep, good talking to you, Dustin, as always.
All right, and now let's go ahead and one more driver here in our driver spotlight. Hoot Wheels, you got a little bit of a fan base here in the Twitch chat. What about that?
Yeah. Okay, so shout outs first of all to the adventure crew, because there's a bunch of people and the fun posters, right? Because there's a bunch of people in a Discord server that I'm really chill with, and a couple of them seem to have showed up in the chat. So shout outs to y'all.
So far, it's been a friendly banter over there with folks cheering you on. Does it ever get to a point where they start heckling you, and maybe we'll see them making fun of you? You're doing great out there on the track, so I don't know what reason would give them to give you a hard time, but will that start to show up from time to time?
Nah, we just have fun here, that's all. I aim to not give them a reason to make fun of me, so we'll see how that goes in Road America, because, as mentioned before, there's really big breaking points on this track. So there's a lot of room to make mistakes, but we'll see what happens.
And talking with Hoot Wheels here in the driver's spotlight before we go out to qualifying at Road America, you finished, let's see if I'm not calculating this wrong, 8th position out in front of Slipstream. You guys had a battle all throughout the race. You were able to keep him back behind you. I'm guessing we're going to see that happen here again in race number 6.
Absolutely. This is a fun series, and I'm here just to improve as a driver. This is my first race within the series, within this league.
Yeah.
I came here to race, and I came here to race hard. So if anybody wants to go toe-to-toe with me, I'll put them into the dirt if I have to.
Oh, wow. There we go. I was saying, hey, every once in a while we get a hot take. Hoot Wheels coming in with one. We're very familiar with Hot Wheels, but maybe a little bit of a background, the origin story of Hoot Wheels.
Right. So I'm a bit of a fan of puns. Previous username used to be Lucario, but I'm not a big fan of Pokemon, not a big fan of Lucario outside of Super Smash. So I was like, well, I need to rebrand. I like owls, I like cars, and the two just kind of coalesced into Hoot Wheels.
Love it. Hoot Wheels. There you go. Every gamer tag has a story. Hoot Wheels, best of luck to you. I'm going to go ahead and throw you back in there as everybody is readied up, getting ready for qualifying out here at Road America. I know they're all going to give me a hard time. Dustin, we're trying to get the racing done. Let's get it going here. I love it, though, when we get all these drivers hopping into the driver's spotlight to chat with us because it does give a different perspective. We learned a little bit there from Chicago. We heard from Big Ben, who was telling us, he doesn't have a lot of familiarity with the car, but what he's been able to ascertain up to this point and what's going to make him competitive here in week number 3 after a successful run for the first time here in season 32, finishing back there in 6th position. And now we've got the countdown going, ready to go. Carry Out saying, I was talking to Hoot. I know it's not just you, Carry Out. I know it's not just you. I want to make sure that because the one thing I also want to keep in mind is respecting everybody's time, not only for the drivers who participate in this league, but then also our viewers who want to catch all the action, but really can't extend beyond maybe that 1 hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours, which is what we're trending to here in season number 32. And here we go off the line. The first one is going to be Yorkie Man, and again, this is the qualifying session, so this is where you try to set your best time to get you as far up on the grid as possible. This is the east route, which, as you can see here, is only comprised of turns 1, 2, 3. You go down the Moraine Sweep, and where you would hook a left to go onto the west side of the circuit, you instead just continue on toward Bill Mitchell Bend, and you actually come out onto the track just a little bit past that area, hook it to the right, and then the right again through what would be turn 14 on the full circuit, and then up toward the start-finish line. And as Chicago was telling us, and I think even maybe Big Ben, with these long straightaways out here at Road America, it's going to allow for that slipstream, that draft to play a role in this race. And Chaos Fox is going to go ahead and bring it back through these right-handers up toward the start-finish line, and we'll give you some race stats there in the bottom left corner. It'll give us our timing on the driver with the quickest time. That's where you want to be, is up at the front of the grid. Here at Road America, it's going to be exciting because you get up enough speed, we'll probably be approaching the 110 miles an hour coming up to the first right-hander before you slow it down a good deal. There is a lot of runoff space on the left-hand side coming out of turn number 1, but for the purposes of qualifying, you want to keep 2 wheels within the white line so as not to dirty lap, but then also during the race itself so as not to give the organizers a reason to penalize you. LMP Chicago with a 1:16.7, that being on the starting, the initial qualifying lap, the standing start. We'll see what happens here next time through as DJ Hocus now clocking in at a 1:16.387. Up to turn number 3 underneath the Briggs and Stratton sign. Appears maybe we had a little bit of a glitch in the matrix there. Some dropped frames, but all is well. I didn't lose connection to the lobby, so that's a good thing. There's Fawnin. Let's go up to our top time driver. That's going to be LMP Chicago with a 1:12.103, and this should be the final lap here. This third and final lap, the second flying lap. Yeah, it wasn't just you there, Solar Gambler. I have connected, so they did make some improvements to my connectivity. They replaced the line from the box to the house, but they do acknowledge that there is something else that is on the street side, which for those of you who have dealt with tech support or and welcome back. Hopefully for the rest of the broadcast, as it looks like the race results are kind of botched on my end. We'll go ahead and see how everybody finishes there. Did seem to run into pretty severe connection issue there. And so we may not even get any of the times. We'll just have to go by the starting grid. We pride ourselves on our livery game at the Forza Spec Racing Series, says Funtang. Yeah, you guys do. Big Ben 0913 saying, well, that was unexpected. So Big Ben perhaps picking up either a really good time or a really bad time. One or the other. We'll see. They're back, so maybe the race results. Yeah, there we go. We've got them. Yorkie Man with a 112.9, Chaos Fox at a 113.4, and if there are any drivers who want to have a quick chat before the race gets underway, you know what to do. Although we'll be brief with it because we already are getting pretty late into the evening here. Cratrum with a 112.604, Trigger Story with a 114.444, a lot of fours. Grim 117.083, Udakan with a 119.133. Not certain what happened there to Udakan, only getting a 119. Perhaps that was the standing start. LMP Chicago with a 112.103. That's going to put him on pole at least for now. I'll continue to look through the times here. 112.355 there for AMS Storm, who good on him is sticking through it despite all the DNFs that he's had here, 2 in a row. Joe Beardy with a dirty 114.598. Fear the Fun 112.854. Modern Weapon. Hoot Wheels with a dirty lap, so he's going to have to work his way up through the grid. Big Ben with a 112.436. I think that's going to be good enough for row number 2. And then you see Fawn in there with a 113.408. Good time. It's dirty, however, and Slipstream also with a 113.791 dirty. We saw that from Slipstream there in our first race of the evening, where he had to overcome a bad qualifying time to work his way up through the field and was able to finish there in 9th position behind Hoot Wheels. Yorkie Man saying, so annoyed, big mistakes on both my laps. So Yorkie Man, who had a 7th place finish in our first race of the evening, not so hot here out at Road America on this track that it's misleading. You think, oh, well, it's just a bunch of right-handers. All we got to do is just turn in this giant oblong circle, oval. But you've got a downhill section which can play tricks with your mind in terms of braking, heading into the next right-hander before you head into turn 14 and then toward the start-finish line. You got an uphill section up toward that start-finish line. And then all kinds of other stuff. Let's go ahead and bring in real quick Chaos Fox. Thoughts on your qualifying time?
I could have done better. I dirtied right on turn 1, beginning of 3rd lap. I felt like I was carrying more speed. I was trying to be a little bit more daring into the apex, and it hurt me. So, but I'm starting, I think, 11th. It's not too bad. I think it's going to be like Monza, where you're going to see a couple groups of cars, and it's going to spread out real quick, though.
Spread out real quick, and you were talking about your position there. You finished 12th, it looks like, out there at Monza. So probably hoping for a top 10 at least here.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think I can snag at least a top 10 and make my way into the top 10.
All right. Well, we'll be hoping the best for you, and we'll see if we can't get the camera on there as you go for that top spot, or at least the top 10.
All right, then.
All right, and let's go ahead and bring in LMP Chicago. Chicago, I think you got yourself the pole position once again for the second time here this evening. Everything must have gone as expected here during qualifying.
Yeah, I felt like everyone else was gonna be a bit slower with their lap times due to the fact that we raced at Monza last race and that people weren't used to this track on the first lap. But Huracan didn't set a clean lap He's
Yeah.
going to be near the back. And I feel like that could be a good opportunity for me to make a buffer zone up in the front.
Yeah, that could be a huge misstep here for Udakan in season number 32, as he'll have to plow through the field to make a run at it here. We've got AX4X. He's the next on deck here in the driver's spotlight. But, man, you just can't you can't consider yourself a shoo-in in this league, even with the diversity in skill. And so we're going to get drivers who are quick, drivers that are mid-pack, and drivers who are predictably at the back. But, man, there can be some drivers gunning for you here.
Yeah.
I didn't set yourself up for success on that one too easily. I guess the bigger question is, are you going to be looking out for Big Ben? He qualified well. I'll figure out why he qualified well, but now you got a different adversary maybe in this race.
Big Ben does favor the tracks like Road America with the 90-degree turns, so he could be a guy to watch out for, and he could be fighting with Corvid near the top, and possibly me.
Yeah, very well could be. Chicago, best of luck to you here. Race number 6. We start the back half of the season. And Big Ben, you said, hey, you're very surprised on your qualifying time. Why were you so surprised?
Dustin, I've done 3 laps of this track during qualifying, and that's it.
That's it, yeah.
That's going to be it.
Lack of practice. I just asked Chicago if he'll be looking out as for you as a new adversary in this race. You gonna give it all you have to be up there in the top spots? Maybe be vying for a P1, 2, or 3 finish?
I'm definitely not going to rest at the beginning of this race, that's for sure. I'm going to try to just attach myself to Chicago's rear end and try to be able to maybe outbrake him into the last corner or something on the last lap when he least expects it or something along those lines.
You got nothing to lose here. You might as well just gun it and run it. That being said, do you kind of like the idea of being the spoiler to come in here and maybe take some points away from some of these top drivers?
I mean, I try not to be that guy, but when I am that guy, it's kind of fun. Just
it's that's the it's the dark corner of your racing mentality or your characteristic is like I like to make it a little bit difficult for folks even if I'm not in the round.
Yeah, to quote my team leader and fellow staff member at Toro, Flying Mikey J, remember, all drivers are, and you can enter the expletive here.
Way to keep it E for everybody here on the Virtual Auto Sports broadcast. Big Ben, congratulations on that qualifying. We'll see you out there for the race.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
All right. And I did go a little bit long there because it appears that they are getting some drivers back into the lobby. Maybe some folks fell out there in between the conclusion of the qualifying session and getting ready for the race. So, yes, we are a little bit behind schedule here tonight. I apologize. I apologize for those who I have harmed in the making of this broadcast. But, hey, yes, this is it. That previous race out there at Monza, race number 5 of season 32, that was the end of the first half. We now officially start the back half of things here. We've got this race. We'll follow that one up with, well, let's go ahead and look at that schedule while they're tidying up the grid. But then we've got Suzuka East. That'll be a great run. And then Mount Panorama Bathurst, 13 laps around that full track, followed by the March 3rd Sonoma Raceway Grand Finale. All right, so there we go. The organizer, Modern Weapon, quickly getting things underway here now that the drivers are all in the lobby. And actually, it looks like maybe somebody's been unable to reconnect, so we'll have to go with the 20 cars that we have on the grid now as opposed to the 21. Wait, Bathurst, says Solar Gambler? Yeah, next week. Be here. Don't miss it. You don't want to. It's going to be a great one, especially coming down the Mount Panorama backside of the mountain. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. These cars, with their grip, should be able to carve their way down the hill. Of course, trying to do it at the fastest pace possible. That's where things go wrong, but you nail that track, and it feels so good. It's so satisfying. Of course, we'll get somebody who, unfortunately, will not not nail it. They'll nail it, but it'll be in a bad sense, grabbing some concrete on one side or the other. Here we go. Kick the tires, light the fires. It's LMP Chicago who signals the start of the race with the launch off the starting point there. It's AMS Storm who's back behind him, and then it's Big Ben with that great qualifying time in row number 2. Opposite of him, it's Dior Corvid, who is looking to snag some points after not getting the best of finishes out there at Monza, although I say that with a P3 finish, so how bad really is it? But all the points, every single point matters here in Season 32, and it looks like it's going to be that way all the way through to the end of the season. So let's see what Corvid's going to be able to make happen as they go underneath the Sargento Bridge here, up to Moraine Sweep. And it's Big Ben now out in front of Corbett. Cratrim in 5th, DJ Hocus, Fear the Fun, Yorkie Man, Audrex. Let's hop on board here with our second place competitor of AMS Storm. He's got Big Ben maybe close by in 3rd. Yes, he does, as they come into, again, what would be turn 14 on the full track. A little wobble, perhaps a sim twitch there, kicking him out almost 4 wheels onto the curbing. Now onto the race surface once again, underneath the bridge, and back toward the start-finish line, beginning of lap number 2. As a couple of our drivers have mentioned, the slipstream definitely helps in this vehicle. And with those 2 long straightaways, we may see several changes in position, not only up here in the front, but certainly back toward the back of the pack as well. That back of the pack looks like Cratrim, DJ Hocus, Fear the Fun, AMS Kudakan. Kudakan with the dirty lap time, having to claw his way up through the field, and has done so nicely already into the top 10 on lap number 2. Yorkie Man in 9th, Audrex in 10th, Chaos Fox, Born as Ghost, Trigger Story are 11th through 13th. Then it's Modern Weapon, Slipstream, Hoot Wheels, Joe Beardy, IPR Wolf, Rice Lancelot, who's racing here in the second race of the evening, and Grim. So unfortunately, we've lost 2 drivers who haven't been able to get in on this second race. And so that will, without a doubt, play into the standings as those get calculated here at the end of week 3 action. Let's move back up to AMS Storm. They're in second position. He's losing sight of Chicago. Chicago now with about a 4-car length difference. Here heading up to turn number 3. I asked Big Ben if he was going to be able to get himself a top 3. He's currently sitting in 3rd, although Corvid's going to make him work for it. Bit of a cloudy sky here at the Road America Circuit up in Wisconsin. I usually prefer the sunnier skies at this track because otherwise the colors kind of wash out and it just kind of doesn't look as enticing. It doesn't look like that beautiful summer day, which I think for a lot of folks here at the end of winter, perhaps the doldrums of winter, could use a little bit of virtual vitamin D. So Forza Motorsport 7 not helping this out to any great lengths here in week number 3, or at least in the second race of the evening. Here they come back down the hill out of 2, and I mentioned how some track creators, developers, designers pick some kinks to be counted as turn numbers and others don't. Well, there's just the slightest pivot in direction, the slightest change in direction there between 1 and 3 that they count as turn number 2, believe it or not. And so very, very early on, and within a short amount of time there, you've got 3 turns, though it really just feels like 2. Let's go back to Cratrim here in 5th position with Corvid in 4th. There they come off the last right-hander. It's nothing but right-handers on this East Circuit. see further ahead, some drivers opting for the inside near the pit wall for their line down the straightaway, trying to keep others off their slipstream or off their draft. Picking and choosing their line. Udakan now from 8th. Of course, he was much further back than 8th, but was in 8th on lap number 3. Now in P6. Let's go back to Ben. Bathurst makes you think of hot dogs. Yeah, I maybe there's a story behind that you're willing to share there, Black Knight 295 Racing. I'm not. It doesn't make me think of that. What I think about is, what do I think about when I think of Bathurst? I just think about that downhill section. So many times I have done exceedingly well, at least for my skill level, through that area, and it just makes me want to drive back in reverse and do it again quickly. But Bathurst, there's only one configuration of that track, and so you gotta go back all the way around. It's a beautiful, beautiful circuit. It's kind of a shame, as we alluded to earlier at the start of tonight's stream, that General Motors pulling the plug on the Holden brand as we get closer to 2021, which leads to a lot of speculation. What's going to happen in the V8 Supercar Series? Is Chevy still going to participate, but perhaps with maybe the Camaro? Which would be kind of an odd choice, considering that General Motors is saying that they're just pulling out of Australia entirely, and so it would make you second guess their participation in the V8 Supercar Series, because then if you don't have a brand down there to sell, then what's the point of being in that series? I guess there could be some reasons that fans would proclaim. And look at this, Storm is going to try to jam Chicago up onto that pit wall. AMS Storm doesn't really have a dog in this race, or horse in this race, whatever animal, whatever metaphor you want to go with, but he's gonna give Chicago a run for his money. And that's going to allow Big Ben to close in a little bit. That close competition. And some sparks there with Big Ben now off the track. What's that going to do for Corvid? As Corvid, at least for now, moving up to 3rd. And now here they go. Chicago gonna give room for AMS Storm, doesn't close the door. That allows the Sonic Livery GTSR to move up to 1st. Here comes Corvid now for 2nd position as they come out of the right-hander, turn 14 on the full track, back toward the start-finish line. Big Ben up to 3rd position, which moves Cratrium into 4th, AMS Udakan in 5th, LMP Chicago all the way back to 6th, at least for now, as he and Udakan go side by side. Even if they're not running at the front of the pack, they're still going to be duking it out between the two of them, and they're going to do so in 5th and 6th. And now down the hill, look at this, almost 3 wide into turn 3, although they wisen up and say, no, let's not do that. AMS Udakan now up to 4th, Chicago into 5th. That drops Cratrim back to 6th position. Crazy close, says Frozen Toes. Frozen Toes joining us here on a Tuesday evening. Good to see you. And folks, if you guys have not checked out Frozen Toes 24's channel and you're a big-time NASCAR fan, scratch that. If you guys are not yet following Frozen Toes 24 for any reason here on Twitch TV, make sure you do that. Plenty of great racing action, even if you're not a NASCAR fan, although that is the drink of choice on that channel in the NASCAR Heat 4 title. And Frozen Toes 24 doing the very nicely said yes when I invited her and Fear the Fun. No, actually, check that. Sorry, and T-Phrase is probably watching and is now going to scold me for this. Frozen Toes 24 and T-Phrase and unironically Average joined me in the booth for the 2.4 hours of Nürburgring, and you can watch that one back here on the Virtual Auto Sports past broadcast tab. We had 4 of us in the booth for that one. That was a fun broadcast. And in addition to following Frozen Toes 24 here on Twitch, if you are a big NASCAR fan and you've got NASCAR Heat 4 for the Xbox console, then give that league a look. The Shake and Bake League has many different seasons happening over a pretty short span of time. So much like the Forza Spec Racing Series, if you don't get in on one of the seasons, well, that's okay. Another season will be coming around pretty quickly. And have your shot there at the Shake and Bake Championship. I don't think that Nightbot will allow you to do it there, Frozen, but if you have some way to kind of work around the URL restrictions or anything like that, then by all means let folks know where they can get more info. Of course, you should be able to find that info there at twitch.tv/FrozenToes24. I think down in the information panel section below the big video block. Look there. It's a good starter. And then look for the Shake and Bake League there on Twitter. LMP Chicago running up here in 5th, fell back to 6th. It's Big Ben now in 4th with AMS Udakan in 3rd position. And now here they come back toward the start-finish line for lap number 11. AMS Storm doing it now. He did it to Chicago earlier. He's going to do it to Corbett here, tucking him up against that pit lane wall. Maybe hoping, hey, a little twitch of the wheel, put you up into the concrete barrier, slow you down. Look at that. AMS Storm's going to carry it all the way down into turn number 1. Corbett goes to the inside, cuts off AMS Storm. AMS Storm with the switchback, able to move up back into P1. And here comes Udakan to the inside. Corvid is going to drop back to 3rd position. This is going to carry on all through the remainder of the race, folks. Do not turn away or you might just miss it. Fortunately, we've got that Virtual Auto Sport instant replay. And there's the action through 1, 2, and 3. And now here they come down Moraine Sweep. It is AMS Storm, AMS Udakan, Dior Corvid, LMP Chicago now up to 4th position. Let's go to Chicago's car and onto the hood view as we can see the action P1 through 3 from his vantage point. Solar Gambler there in the pit lane saying it's been super hype. I'm glad I got here on an exciting night. It's not just tonight. It is not just tonight. It's been back-to-back Tuesdays, back-to-back seasons, phenomenal racing. The Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series just won't die. There are very few community-run leagues and series that can say that. This is one of those who can, or that can, because they're going strong. 2 years of Forza Motorsport 7, and they're not letting that hold them back. The drivers are showing up, and in a big way. We had 21 in race number 1 of tonight, and then now we've got 20 in race number 2, and now things have maybe let up a little bit. Let's go to Corvid's car. And Dino Dad Shadow saying great racing tonight to Frozen Toes. Yeah, because they do a little bit of racing on Sundays, some racing on, I think, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if Tuesday is not your thing, then maybe Sunday works out best for you. Archie072 with the follow. Thank you, sir or ma'am. Although with that name, I'm going to lean toward the sir side. I could be wrong. Looking through the field, it is AMS Udakan who is our winner out at Monza. AMS Storm in second. Got the disconnect at Monza. Fortunately, everything's holding up, knock on wood. DOR Corbin in third. LMP Chicago is fourth. Big Ben in fifth. Craytrim in sixth position. DJ Hocus in seventh. Fear the Fun in eighth. Audrex is ninth. Born as Ghost hanging out there in the top 10 spot. P10. 11th is Yorkie Man. Chaos Fox in 12th. That's where he started. Slipstream in 13th position. Hoot Wheels a little bit further back than where we saw him in our first race of the evening. In 14th right now. Trigger Story in 15th. Joe Beardy is 16th. IPR Wolf, Modern Weapon, and Weiss Lancelot are 17th, 18th, and 19th, and Grimm in 20th. So all the drivers who have started this race still out there on the track as we are on lap 13, closing in on lap 14 of 25. Here comes Storm. Look at that, four wheels up onto the curbing for Storm, Corvid, probably even Chicago there. That's the line that you run. Yes, it's dirty by Forza Motorsport 7 standards, but as you would see in any real-world race out here at Road America, that's very appropriate, or that's common to find the drivers getting the vehicle in its entirety onto the curbing, and there's four wheels there as well coming out of one. Back down the hill, here comes Chicago. What's he gonna do? DOR Corvid, who is in a great spot right now, needs to hold off Chicago. Again, every point will matter. With that drop rule in effect, you want to give Chicago as few of these back-to-back P1 finishes as you possibly can. Has 3 wins of the 5 races that we've run here in season 32, so if he keeps that up, that'll be very difficult to beat. And now here comes Big Ben with a run on Chicago as they remain in single file formation back up toward the start-finish line. Big Ben in that Voltec car. You guys know what game that's from. Tell me. I know what it is. You guys tell me there in the pit lane. Twitch chat. Hoot Wheels goes by she, her. Gotcha. Udakan. Let's go ahead and put the camera. It's difficult out here at Road America because the way these camera angles work, as we see right now, we get kind of a side-scrolling camera, which isn't the best, but here they come into the right-hander, and that'll pull out a little bit there as we can see Storm lurking, closing that gap. Corvid, Chicago. Let's go to Big Ben's car, and we will hop onto the hood here so that we can see a bit better. The helicopter with the view of choice there. I would thoroughly enjoy a drone cam that host can control. Solar Gambler, I'm with you there 1,000%. I don't know if you're a Forza Horizon fan, but Forza Horizon since the second iteration, the second release, I think they introduced a drone camera. And on Twitter, you may have seen NASCAR tease it. You may have seen a few of the, I think it was the McLaren F1 team, show off their drone camera. But the views from drone cam of Formula One cars and NASCARs scooting around the track, oh, that is the camera. That's the look. That is the look. We need that. So if Turn 10 Studios could take the drone cam of Forza Horizon, implement it into Forza Motorsport, 1, we'll have ourselves a hell of a time controlling that, and 2, my thumbs on the thumbsticks will be aching after these broadcasts. No question about that one. I'll have to ramp up my drone navigating skills. Oh, but yeah, some of those videos, some of those clips on Twitter of the drone footage is just like, man, now that's cool. Back up to P3 here with Corvin, who's got Chicago now 2 car lengths back. Big Ben in 5th, Craytrim in 6th. It would be tough to follow the race and to do it throughout the event too. I mean, I would probably have to just decide to grab the controller and do it for maybe a lap or 2, and then get back to focusing on, like, not the static cameras, but the trackside cameras and calling the action, because I don't know if my mind would allow me to talk as well when I'm also trying to fly a virtual drone and keep up with the cars. I struggle as it is without a controller in my hand and a drone to fly. I would sound like a blubbering idiot. That's what I need, is I need like a producer. I need a producer. Wreckfest actually has a drone cam. It's awesome. Wreckfest, there's a lot about Wreckfest that you could see is borrowed from Forza Motor, the UI, and I think like the what's the word I'm looking for? The telemetry. I think a lot of that is borrowed from Forza in the sense that they replicated it. It's not a copy and paste or anything, but they replicated that. Some of those aspects, at least from my perspective. But yeah, if they've got a drone cam, then they're a step ahead in that regard. And now here they go. A trail of cars with still plenty of racing left. 7 laps to go here in this 25-lapper. AMS Udakan out in front. AMS Storm. Corvin, Chicago, Big Ben, Craytrim. Then Fear the Fun, DJ Hokus. So let's go to DJ Hokus, who's here on the heels of Fear the Fun as they go into turn number 1. Audrex there in 9th. Audrex having to get hard onto the brakes as DJ Hokus slowing him up a little bit there through turn 1, but not to DJ Hokus' fault. He's just adjusting to Fear the Fun's angle of attack. And now here comes Audrex in that AMD liveried 87 GTSR. Not going to be able to make the pass there out of turn number 3. Hi, Lord Dima. Go Chaos Fox, the fastest nerd on the grid. The whole cheering section thing has really become a thing as of late. Y'all need to show up week after week and do it. Just continue with it. It's great. And I know some of our drivers, they like to watch back the rerun, and we'll have that rerun immediately following this broadcast. And so they get to hear some of that chatter that's happening during the race. It's your boy, Redbeard, if you remember that name. You kept calling me Redbird. Of course. Of course I did. It's too hard for me. It's too difficult for me to discern that there was an A in there, I guess. Or an E. Just completely dismissing the fact that there's no I in Redbeard. Here comes Corvin off onto the runoff section and up the hill. Wicked Sen saying, "Pass the Crocs, Grim! Pass the Crocs!" I don't know what that expression means, but Grim doing his thing, man. And again, Grim and a lot of our drivers who are finding themselves at the back of the pack from race to race, they're doing exactly what the league asked these drivers to do. Even if you're not competitive, Get out here and race week to week, race to race. The only thing that they ask is that you race cleanly, and that means if you're at the back of the pack, then getting out the way in a fashion that is in line with racing expectations. In the real world of racing, there's nothing in the rule book that says if a lead lap car is approaching you, you need to dart off the track. There's nothing that says that. But it's just knowing where the racing line is, knowing where those lead lap cars, where they're going to go. Granted, it's on both drivers to navigate around each other safely. But if you pick the area of the track that you know is not where the oncoming traffic is going to go, they'll get around you pretty dang quickly, and then you just continue on with your thing. And don't be discouraged about where you finish race after race. It's about improving your skill over time, overcoming maybe those doubts that you have. Find a driver out there on the track that you compete closely with and make it your goal to beat that driver. And we go into the black screen here, which unfortunately means we probably got another disconnect. Let's go to Crate Trim. Dino Dad Shadow saying Big Ben is doing great tonight. Yeah, I mean, for somebody who has not had much practice with the car, running in the top 5 is brilliant. Chaos Fox, and who wills the 2 best Forza players ever? Crate down the hill underneath that Briggs and Stratton sign. Let's see if he's going to have a look here at Big Ben through turn number 3. Nothing. Back up to the Sargento Bridge for the 23rd time. Let's return to LMP Chicago, currently running 4th. Big Ben. Oh, it was Big Ben that got DC'd. Fear the Fun saying from 7th to 0. Ooh, in Chicago, a little bit far into the inside line. There through what is turn 5 on this circuit. Trying to find himself maybe a little extra time, but we'll chalk that one up as an honest mistake. Sometimes you're pushing it so hard that you don't mean to put 4 wheels off the racing surface. Hang out with us here through the rest of the broadcast. We'll wrap this one up here in the next 2 laps as our, well, 2.5 laps as our lead pack of 6 here on the opposite end of the start-finish line. And actually make that 1.5, because next time by will be the white flag. It wasn't a DC. You got to ham it up a little bit and say it was a mechanical failure or something. I know. I run that line back so many times that I just don't even say it anymore. But, yeah, I mean, Big J, whatever it is you want to say there in the pit lane, was it a blown motor? Did you, the transmission fall out? The drive line snap? What was it? There we go. Across the line, the white flag flies here. Quickly, Udacan, AMS Storm, DOR Corvid, Chicago, then Big Ben still in 5th, Crate Trim in 6th, DJ Hocus, Audrex, Born as Ghost, and Yorkie Man are the top 10. Here comes Chicago to the inside of Corvid through 3, and just like that, Chicago is going to not yet have P3 as they go side by side. It's like a verbatim situation here. You just take one car and replicate it on the opposite, put it next to each other, or put it next to it, and there you have Chicago. But now a little juking and jiving as they get ready to enter turn number 5. Chicago with the inside line, a little bit of a slide. There goes Modern Weapon off the track, and stay there, Modern Weapon. You got more cars approaching, and here they come up toward the start-finish line. Will Chicago be able to make the run? He does, but then there goes Corbin with the block. That's one block, so that's about as much as you can do there before you got to give the opponent a chance. And there goes Chicago across the line in 4th. Udakan in front, Storm, Corvid, Chicago, Cratrim, Big Ben. Let's go to 11th with Slipstream, who is behind Yorkie Man. Up to the line, and Slipstream in 11th. Hoot Wheels in 12th. Joe Beardy in 14th with Chaos Fox just out in front of him in 13th. IPR Wolf is 15th after a DNF there in the first race of the evening. Trigger Story in 16th. We've got a car who is going for some acrobatics there, and somebody else is going to attempt it. No success. Modern Weapon in 18th, Grim in 19th. And again, Fear the Fun with the disconnect. Folks, again, we're going to run back some ads real quick. Hang out with us. We've got to talk to some of our drivers here in the Driver's Spotlight. We'll do it quickly because we're already running late. And then our special announcement here of the evening for you before we wrap things up tonight here in Week 3. Heading into the final 2 weeks of the season, the final half, the second half of season number 32 in the Nissan GTS R31. And for those of you who are not getting the ads right now, hang tight. We'll get our victory lap by Udakan, who goes back-to-back here in week number 3. Who would have thought that was going to happen after Chicago's 3 straight P1 finishes there through the first 4 races. Now the tables have turned a little bit, and I was saying that in my tweet, teasing tonight's action, that Dior Corvid would be the one making the push to the top. But Udakan, a really, really strong performance here tonight out at Monza and Road America. So, again, we'll see how everything looks once the points are tallied. They'll have the full points, all the points through all 6 races here in Season 32, but then also the championship points, which means it's factoring in the worst week for all the drivers, and so you can take a look at both of those. But man, with 2 weeks remaining in that 5th and final week, with race number 9 being a double the points race, there's so many options right now. There's so many directions that this season could go. You don't want to miss it. We've got more racing a week from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, week number 4, right here on Virtual Auto Sports. And welcome back to those of you who got some ads. Again, thank you so much for sitting through those. It supports the broadcast, but more importantly, it gives anybody who might be joining us here for the conclusion of the broadcast to avoid any of the pre-roll stuff. That way they can get right into the content. For our drivers who have already obviously finished the race and are ready for a chat, head on over to that queue for interview section here in the FM4 Discord. I'll pull you in. It's going to be quick. We're going to go through these interviews real fast. Because we are definitely late here tonight, and it's all my fault. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. We'll have to tighten it up in the future, which I hate to say because all the drivers have been really excited to get into the driver's spotlight, much like DJ Hocus here. Who DJ Hocus? Let's see. I'm looking at what I've written down. It looks like you grabbed 7th position. So pretty good run here at Road America.
Yes, it was nice.
And we saw a lot of the action up from P1 to P6, but back there in P7, it was you, Audrex, Born as Ghost, even Yorkie back there. Was it a lot of back and forth, or were you pretty constant there in 7th position?
Well, it was me and Fear for a long time. He got DC'd, unfortunately. Yep. And we had a good run back and forth a few times, trying to run together to catch the front packs. And then they all caught up to us. And unfortunately, Fear got DC'd. And that was a bummer.
And that was that. Yeah, it is a bummer when that happens. As a competitor, it's kind of a sigh of relief when you don't necessarily have to be neck and neck with somebody, but then you think, gosh, if I were in that position, that wouldn't be fun to be bumped out like that. DJ Hocus, so next week, we roll into gosh, I've completely drawn a blank. It is Suzuka East and then Mount Panorama Bathurst. Do any of those tracks work in your favor?
Bathurst, definitely.
You like the Bathurst track? Is it the downhill parts or is it the long straight?
It's the whole track.
The whole thing.
It's the whole track. The whole track.
Awesome.
I love that track. I've done more laps on that track in Forza 7 than any other track.
That's right. We talked about this last time.
Yes.
We did. And
it's a tuner's heaven.
Tuner's heaven because of the variety that it gives you to mess around with and set up a baseline tune. Do you do a little bit of practice, though, between now and then, or are you all set?
I'm on that track every day.
All day, every day. All right, DJ Hocus. Well, congrats here tonight. I think you're going to move up a couple more spots on the leaderboard. We'll take a look at that here.
I know. I didn't DC either race.
That's right. You didn't DC any race, so definitely going to be moving up. We'll see how far, and we'll see you. We'll catch you here in week number 4.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, now let's go to AMS Udakan. And Udakan, man, like I said, when I'm talking up on Twitter that maybe it's DOR Corbin who's going to make the run, you show up after 3 straight wins by LMP Chicago and say, hey, it's not over here with me. Picking up 2 wins here, Monza and Road America, and now with Suzuka and then Mount Panorama. Can you keep up the streak?
Well, I don't know about Suzuka, as I'm not really a fan of the track per se, but Bathurst, having done a race there on Sunday, I'm definitely looking forward to that. So it should be good.
Having done a race there, and I think you're alluding to maybe a 12-hour Bathurst event. Is that correct?
I am indeed. And I became away with a win.
And that was out of what series was that?
It was done by a German community.
Okay.
It was really, really good.
Awesome. Like I said, you're looking good. If you can keep the streak going there in week number 4, although you're uncertain about Suzuka. What do you think of your teammate there, though, in the not necessarily in this particular league, but just in general? You got AMS Storm, who's out here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Unfortunately, has had a couple of disconnects, but has not let that sway him in getting out here and being competitive.
No, he's working off a phone hotspot right now, so I'll give him props for that. But no, he's definitely come on ways in here. Like, he doesn't really like the car, and I don't think he likes me for the choice that I made with it. But no, he's come on leaps and bounds in it, I think, over the past few weeks. So.
Lots of racing left. We're talking with AMS Udakan, who again picks up both wins here tonight, and so a quick turn of the tables, if you will, in the standings. That being said, and I know we're early, We still got a lot of racing ahead of us. But if you go back-to-back, Season 31, Season 32 champion, do you kind of keep your car selection in line with what we have here with the Nissan Skyline, or do you go with something just completely different?
See, now that's a good idea. I couldn't I?
Oh yeah, the ball would be in your court. You've got the choice if you happen to pull off the back-to-back.
Maybe we'll see. I'll keep that one a secret for now.
Perhaps a little bit too early. So we'll reconnect and see how things are going a little bit later on in the season. Ukan, well done here tonight. We'll see you in week number 4.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, Hoot Wheels. Looking at Hoot Wheels, who, let's see, outside the top 10 here out at Road America. Probably not the finish that you were hoping for, but it was so competitive out there that I think you just got to be happy that you weren't further back.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by my finish, considering I had qualified in 17th due to dirtying all of my laps. I think the fastest lap I had that was dirty would have put me in 7th had it been clean, so really unfortunate. But I picked my way up, got 5 positions ahead, which is nice.
Okay, and yeah, I mean I'm always curious about what that does to the mentality, the psyche of a driver. You come out of qualifying, well, you probably go into qualifying, feel pretty good, especially after your race out there out at Monza, finishing in 8th. And then you get done with qualifying and you've got a dirty lap. I mean, how do you kind of set that aside and not let that concern you for 25 laps of racing?
Well, I mean, first of all, I've got a bad memory, so it's fine. Just forget about it. Whatever.
Short-term memory.
But, right, yeah, but, like, memory of a goldfish. But, like, another thing, too, is just I try and take my races a corner at a time, set very small, realistic goals for myself, so very short-term stuff like, try and optimize a certain sector of the track or try to catch the person in front or something like that. And working on those goals kind of gives me something to constantly work towards. So I'm never really disappointed in a race.
Never really disappointed. And it's probably on a T-shirt or a bumper sticker somewhere saying, I take each race one corner at a time. Hoot Wheels. Pretty good showing here tonight, and obviously a great run here in Season 32 in the Forza Spec Racing Series for your debut. We look forward to seeing what you're able to pull off in Week 4.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Also, real quick, shout out again to Adventure Crew and the Fun Poster Crew out on Discord. Thank you, guys.
Nice. Love the shout-outs. Saying hello to the folks, especially those who've been rooting you on all throughout the broadcast. And now our final driver here for the Driver's Spotlight. And, man, Big Ben, I would love to sit here and chat with you for quite some time asking about your performance here this week. Obviously, we've already seen you talk about or heard you talk about the performance out there at Monza and then doing exceedingly well, at least in my opinion, out here at Road America. Is that how you're seeing it?
Yeah, I think things went well. I made mistakes, but hey, everyone makes mistakes while racing, especially when it's a track that you think is so simple that you don't think about it. You just got to do it, but you're actually in reality you need to okay, this turn should be in this gear, that kind of thing.
And then of course the question everybody will want to know, as you've shown that you've got this ability to run at the front of the pack. Do you continue here through the next 2 weeks of the league, looking to maybe rob some points? I know we talked about being the spoiler here, but are we going to see Big Ben in Week 4?
I'm not sure about Week 4 yet. I'm definitely going to show up for the last round, just because I enjoy Sonoma, and I think that the short layout will be quite interesting in these cars.
It will.
However, Bathurst is on the calendar too, so I might change that statement.
Yeah, everybody, even in the pit lane, some folks saying, "Oh, Bathurst. Oh, okay, all right, that's what's coming up." Speaking of what's coming up, and something that obviously you're very excited about, why don't you go ahead and just tell everybody what's on tap here for the Online Racing Association?
Right. So, of course, it's coming up to March, which means it's time for Tour's 12 Hours of Sebring. This year, we are bringing back the ever-popular combination of 80s, 90s prototype and GT from Daytona last year, bringing it into 2020 with the classic 12 Hours of Sebring. So expect cars that were made famous in the Group 5, Group 6 era of racing. So we have the Aston Martin AMR1, the Jag XJ-R9, the Nissan GTP ZX Turbo, and what's one of the more outliers of this list is the Sauber Mercedes C9, just because if you look back in history, that car didn't actually race at Sebring ever. It never really made it across to this side of the world. Except I think one race that we found that it was over in North America. I don't remember which one it was, but whenever Toro makes a list for a race like this, we tend to look at history to see, okay, these type of cars will be racing here. While we had a different era of GT car last year, we're switching it up a little bit this year, bringing in the BMW CSL, the Corvette C3. Why am I blanking on that? The Greenewalt Corvette. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's
yeah.
It might be something a little bit different there. I think Greenewalt sounds too much like Dan Greenewalt, but it might be. I don't know.
Hold on. It's going to bug me if I don't look.
Somebody in chat will tell it. Greenwood is what Crimson's
Greenwood, that's what it is. Okay. Anyway.
We'll make it the Dan Greenewalt edition. Now you have to run with a Dan Greenewalt livery.
Don't tempt me. We also had the Ferrari BBLM. We had the Ford Capri Turbo. We had the Lancia Beta Monte Carlo Turbo, the Nissan Super Silhouette, and of course the Porsche 93578. So we have quite the list that we have coming up into this series. There's some additions and some interesting subtractions, of course. While we would love to have the 787 there, Huracan, it's because that in our testing, we could either make the car too fast or we could either make it too slow. We tried a various different combination of handicaps and builds and things like that. We just couldn't get it to perfectly mesh with the other ones. Another car that we couldn't get to mesh that we want to use was the Porsche 962. The problem with that car is that the version that I'm sorry, Karen. The version of the car that we have in Forza is the Le Mans spec, so it's the low downforce, yeet everything in a straight line car. So it kills everything down the straights. It's horrible through the corners, but it's so fast down the straight, it makes up for it.
Yeah.
But the same problem last year when we used it for Daytona, where it just murdered everything.
Right. And I think when we say that there's a lot of appreciation to be had by anyone or any number of people who help put on community events, the first thing that comes to mind is just the balance of performance, the amount of studying that needs to go into ensuring that you're giving everybody kind of a fair lot of cars to choose from, with not any one car having any sort of extreme advantage. Granted, each car from one to the next is going to be different, but making sure that there's not a clear disadvantages, that's also important in the integrity of the racing.
Yeah, and the BOP process is literally like a month in advance. We started giving our development team, we gave them this car list, I think the day after Daytona was over. So that we could get things ready for the launch here this week. Kieran, if you can make the 787 or the 962 work, feel free to try. Submit what you find to our dev team. You know who to contact since you were on that team before. So, but yeah, the balance performance in Tora, it's for Tora on Forza. It's very difficult just because. Just the I don't want to say limited tools that we have, but there are other games out there that have it just a little bit easier to set to balance the performance. Like, for example, GT Sport with their percentage system that they have, where you can literally move it down a percentage at a time. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to put cars in certain buckets and things like that. Where, as we've noticed that if you have a prototype and a GT car in the same bucket, the prototype car will have the GT line or vice versa, which causes issues from braking.
So many
course.
things. So many things.
So many things.
Yeah, to keep track of.
So many moving parts.
Yeah, a lot of variables, a lot of moving parts. And yes, you mentioned Daytona, hot off the heels of the an historic 24 hours of Daytona that the Online Racing Association had with the amount of participants in event. Again, in a racing title that is more than 2 years of age. Pretty fascinating, and of course the action, no matter how many people participate, will be as exciting as ever here in the Sebring 12 hours endurance race on March 14th. And Ben, where do folks need to go for more information and to get their team registered?
Well, as you can see on the screen, that the info and sign up is at racetour.com. Go there, click on the forums link in the top right-hand corner of the page that pops up. We'll take you to a forum, so you can sign up there. If you don't have a team together, there's a section in the classic 12 Hours of Sebring threads that is called the driver recruitment thread. So you can post, hey, I want to take part in this, but I don't know who to race with. Go ahead and post there. Someone might send you a message. You can work something out. Because it's a 12-hour race, it's a little bit easier to manage. So we're allowing teams of 2 to teams of 4 for this series, or for this race, I should say. So if you just want to find a friend, say, hey, let's do a 12-hour race together. Sure, that'll be fun. And you can go out and have fun. That's the end goal of anything we do at Taurus, is to make sure that we have fun.
Have fun and keep it as authentic and genuine as you might see in the real world. That's what I also love about the Online Racing Association is, and I know you talked about this on Forza Monthly at one point, where you said that you guys are looking to put car and track combinations, and of course when you've got multi-class cars that would have at least one point raced against each other or on the same track with each other. So it's always lovely. It's like a flashback in time, especially this one here out at Sebring with the mix of the older generation of cars. Ben, great chatting with you. We do hope to see you in week number 4 there with the Suzuka and Bathurst. And then, like you said, you do plan on being there in week number 5 out at Sonoma. So we look forward to that. And again, 2 thumbs up from me in terms of your performance here tonight.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had great fun tonight. My only complaint is that when I had a really good chance to run for the lead coming out of turn 2, I literally had both Chicago and Storm right in front of me, so I had nowhere to go except the grass.
Yeah, it's like being a middle-sized to small-sized running back trying to poke a hole through a big old defensive lineman. So kudos to
it's
you.
like, oh, not going to go there.
Yeah,
okay.
Not going to happen. Probably going to get knocked back a peg or 2, but did a phenomenal job. Kudos to Big Ben. And for all the drivers who not only raced tonight, but then also jumped into the driver's spotlight here with me this evening, the special announcement piece isn't necessarily the fact that the 12 Hours of Sebring are happening by Tora. That's pretty well predicted by those folks, by those of you who are all too familiar with the Online Racing Association. What's exciting for me, at least, and maybe for you all, is that I will be jumping over to the Tora Live channel here on Twitch there on March 14th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, or a little bit beforehand. Obviously, we got to do a little bit of a teaser or preview of the race there on March 14th. And yes, going all 12 hours. I did the 24 hours of Daytona, but we'll be doing all 12 hours of the Sebring race. I said no to any more 24-hour events, but I think 12 hours is a bit more manageable. So we'll make that happen. That'll be on the Tora Live channel. I do believe I'll have it co-streaming or syndicated here on the Virtual Autosports channel. But for those of you who want to engage with me, the chat there, and of course all the other viewers in the grandstands, the virtual grandstands of the Online Racing Association's channel, then you'll want to head on over to that side. March 14th, 12 hours of Sebring. It's going to be a hoot. To take a line there from Hoot Wheels, who says a fan of owls and then something else. I don't remember what the second component of that was, but the owls. I'll take that line and say, hey, it's a hoot. in store for us there on the 14th. Folks, that does it for me. You got a lot of bonus coverage here tonight. That's about 28 minutes worth of extra coverage here on the Virtual Auto Sports channel. I'll be looking for my overtime check in the mail. If y'all get any more Forza racing action in here over the rest of the week and on into the weekend, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. Of course, that's not just in Forza. That's across all virtual racing, or maybe even in the real world. Wherever you do that, yes, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. Until next time, take care. Adios. Goodbye.